Our new partner who I'm really, really excited to announce we are working with. Super, super stoked. Thank you, Angie Huberman, for this connect. It's incredible. AG1 Athletic Greens. I've been using them for a while. I have them every morning on an empty stomach. Basically take one scoop and you put it into a cup or glass or mug of 8 ounces of cold water. And this is all your greens for the day. You're absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens. Every day I take this. It's so good for my digestion, my energy. It's simple. It's easy. I don't like taking a lot of vitamins. This has been really, really helpful for me. I've had a lot of stomach issues my whole life, and ever since I've been gluten-free and taking the AG1s, it's really helped me in my stomach in the mornings. I love it. I'm so psyched that they're part of the One Life One Chance podcast. I'm sure a lot of people don't like eating greens, let alone drinking your greens, but I can tell you straight up, it's got a mild tropical taste, and the taste is actually really refreshing, and I really look forward to it each morning. Don't think it's just going to be just straight bland. It tastes really, really good, and it's good for you, so remember that. This one blend of ingredients supports your gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, your energy, recovery, focus, and aging. It's incredible, just one scoop, especially for musicians who are vegans or just musicians in general who want to get those daily greens. You can get the packets. It's incredible. I just gave some to my friend Derek from Sepultura. He traveled the whole entire world this summer, and he had those every single day. He said it saved him. I bring AG1s with me when I travel. It helps me stay healthy. You know the deal. If you're on tour and you are a picky eater, but you need to have your greens, sometimes catering doesn't have greens. Sometimes you miss the catering. Sometimes you miss the backstage food. Sometimes it's too late after the show to go get food that you like. So if you just have a scoop of AG1s in your hotel room before you go to bed, or you're in the hotel room at night and you're starving and you want something healthy, boom, life changer. Right now, it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with some convenient daily nutrition. That's all you need, one scoop in a cup every day. That's it. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. This is it. I'm super psyched. And to make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/OLLC. Again, that's athleticgreens.com/OLLC to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. This is incredible. I love it. It's just basic greens. For me personally, this has changed my life tremendously. I'm not a junk food vegan. I don't eat a lot of fake meats, so I'm strictly greens. And this has been a wonderful, wonderful new addition to my life. So once again, visit athleticgreens.com/OLLC. and get 1 free year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. athleticgreens.com/OLLC. Yo, Liquid Death, thank you so much for hydrating all my guests, taking care of me and my family and my friends. Love your water, love your brand, love what you stand for, love what you give back to the community. If you want to learn more about Liquid Death and how it started, listen to episode 115 with the co-founder, owner, and creator of Liquid Death, Mike Cesario. Just a punk rock skateboarding kid from Delaware with a dream. It's an incredible story, incredible journey. So if you go liquiddeath.com/Toby, you get free shipping on any items you order from liquiddeath.com. And if you want to get water, Liquid Death water, go to amazon.com. But for merchandise and other things that's not water, go to liquiddeath.com/Toby and get free shipping. Thank you so much, Liquid Death. Death to plastic, murder your thirst, stay hydrated. You know H2O saves lives.
Dude, this fucking
microphone check. Thank you, man.
These fucking drawers are sick.
Wait, so did the HGTV do these drawers too?
Yeah, that's.
I didn't know they did the drawers.
Yeah,
too.
that's car paint.
Yeah, I was gonna say that looked like some straight pinstriping.
Yeah.
So dope.
Oh damn.
That's who did it. Some famous pinstriping car guy.
Wow.
I should know his name by now because he did my house. But they brought him in during the TV show and they just did it. You know.
That's. So
okay.
Did it writing over there and yeah.
That's so tight.
Damn.
We're recording now, so welcome to the One Life One Chance podcast. I'm your host, Toby Morse. Today, got my brother from another mother, Mr. Chappelle Lacey, next to me. Thank you for being here, man.
Thanks for having me.
It's like the mafia. You try to leave the mafia, and they always bring you back. You tried to leave the podcast world, and I always in my kitchen.
I'll stop by occasionally.
No, I love having you here.
I'm affiliated.
Hell yeah.
And then finally in my kitchen, like we talked a few minutes ago. Yeah, we met briefly. We have so many mutual friends. Respect for each other in the music world. Jason Butler, sir. Thank you for being here, man.
Dude, thank you for having me for real.
Do people call you Jason Fever?
Yeah, actually, I see that. I see it in a lot of people's phones. Jason Fever.
Oh,
really?
Yeah, when they be like when they're like, oh, I'm like, I saw you.
Yeah.
I have a last name.
Yeah. You know what? It's weird because like I feel like all you bands do that.
Yeah.
All you
Like
ban-
it's-
all you bands.
Yeah, you do. I'm just saying.
You
'cause-
people.
Yeah, you people do that because it's like, oh, Freddie Madball.
True.
You know, like,
Oh,
yeah,
facts,
like,
huh?
like I feel like you guys.
H2O.
Yeah, Toby H2O.
true, huh?
Like, you guys
Yeah.
have your band names as your last names.
It's kind of weird.
Yeah, I never even thought about that.
I wonder
That's
why people
crazy.
do that.
Yeah.
We don't do that in comedy.
You know?
Maybe you should start.
I know, right?
Or you could be Chappelle Mad Peaceful.
I could.
Damn.
He's
That's
got, a
not
band,
like.
he's got a band called Mad Peaceful.
Yeah, I saw that. That's hard, by the way.
Oh yeah,
I love
thanks.
that you're doing all that.
Yeah,
That's so fun.
I'm having fun with it.
I love that. I love that.
You guys are playing program this week.
Yeah.
What?
Mm-hmm.
What? Like this weekend?
Yeah, Friday, yeah.
Friday, yeah, tomorrow. Wait, today's Thursday. Yeah.
Yo,
tomorrow.
I'm not playing. I'm gonna try to pull up. My dad is playing in Long Beach, so it's like at least like down that way.
Oh wow.
wow.
So I might.
Yeah,
try
if
to
you
pull
can
up.
make it, that'd be great.
Hell yeah,
that'd be
cool as
dope.
fuck,
Yeah.
Oh, I have it in my notes. Your dad's singer in a soul group.
Yep. That's how it all started. I guess that's how it all started.
Yeah.
I think. I mean, it's like probably all those things early on in life that you don't know did anything to you,
Yeah.
and they got lodged into your brain.
But your uncle from Scotland turned you on to Bush and that stuff.
That's
He
it.
loves
bro.
Bush.
Yo,
Oh, really?
I
Hell
love
yeah.
Bush.
He loves Oasis and got
Yeah.
beef,
Yeah.
bro.
yeah.
They don't have beef.
I don't know who else sold each
I
other.
mean,
that.
Oasis
That
has beef with everybody.
Yo, real talk.
Right.
But they can, right? Because they're literally like the biggest band ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you an Oasis fan too?
Yeah. Just songwriting wise, it's like unbelievable, right?
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. You look at like, obviously you can't compare these two, but like the Beatles, and then you look at their trajectory in songwriting and what, like they were 10 years for a band or something?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oasis, I don't know how long they were. It felt like they were just here for a
94
second.
to 09.
Oh, so they was for a minute.
Yeah, for
I
a
thought the
minute.
brothers like
Damn.
killed each other and the one came back as a zombie or
That one
something.
came back to life.
Yeah, I thought he like was raised from the dead or some shit.
That's hilarious.
All right, so you were born in Inglewood.
Yes, sir.
Nice. So
Up
how
to
was
no
how was
good?
up
Yeah,
to no
sir.
good? How was it growing up there?
Honestly, I look back now comparatively or sort of like relatively to how I live now, the spaces I'm in now, so socioeconomically and artistically, and I'm really thankful. I'm so thankful for growing up in Inglewood, just because I think the necessity, the element of necessity that you have to make things happen in Inglewood, especially if you're trying to do a band or be skateboarding or things like
Yeah.
that, you really got to be about your shit. Like you really have to, because you be getting punked. I was getting punked on the way to school, coming home from school, until I wasn't. Until I was popping, and then,
Yeah.
and I feel like that's a sort of a character trait that you can only get from a place like Inglewood or places like Inglewood around
Yeah.
the world,
Do you have siblings?
Yeah, I got a little sister and I got older brother. He's my half brother, but he's my brother. And then I got like 7 other brothers and sisters that I don't even know. I met one.
Wow.
Yo, I have a story for
Damn,
you
that's
right
fucking
now.
wild.
Tell me.
I have a story for
Yeah.
you. I've never told this publicly.
Let's
I'm gonna
go.
do this for you, Toby. Check
Thank
this out.
you.
When I was like 20, I was with my girlfriend and my best friend. We went to see my dad play. He was playing a Lowrider Fest with Zapp and Roger and
Ooh,
like some
yeah,
other
yeah.
folks. And we pulled up, and it was at the Gibson Amphitheater, which now is something else. But he was playing. I pull up. I go, hey, I'm here to see Alon. That's my dad's name. They're like, oh, what's your name? Blah, blah. I said, Jason Butler. They're like, oh, we don't have that. We have another name. And I said, oh, Jason Alon Butler. That's my first name is Jason Alon. And this woman comes up to me. She says, are you Alon's son by chance? I said, yes. And she kissed me in front of my girlfriend. And she goes, get that to your dad. Walks away. I was like, damn, that's weird. Then because of that moment,
Yeah.
everyone's looking. And then another young sister comes up to me. She said, are you Alon's son? And I was like, yes, but I have to go. I thought she was going to do some weird shit again.
Yeah.
She goes, no, actually, I'm his daughter. And I was like, you know what? He told me I was going to meet you tonight. She goes, really? I said, yeah. You know what? Just walk up to that window right there. Your name will be on the guest list. Obviously, you'll be in there. I'll see you inside. She goes, I don't know. I'm serious. Go ahead. You'll be right there, but I got to go in. I go in. Don't see her the whole night. Pull up backstage. Walk past Ice-T, which was tight.
Wow.
Like, he was at the spot. I'm like, what's
Yeah.
up? And walk over a body bag. And then I talked to my dad. He goes, hey, it was a great show. Oh, cool. He goes, hey, I want you to meet somebody. I was like, oh, no, Dad, I already met. And he brings another girl to meet me.
Wow.
It's your sister. I said, that's not who I met outside. I didn't say this, but in my head, I'm going, I I didn't meet that one outside. And my girlfriend, my friend, look at me like, you gonna say something? Didn't say nothing. My dad to this day doesn't know. If he hears the podcast, he'll finally know.
Yeah.
That I met my other sister by accident outside because she was there because she heard Elon was playing while she was in town.
Wow.
Crazy,
Holy
right?
That is
Rolling
crazy.
Stone. You're Rolling Stone.
Yeah, you're Rolling Stone.
For real.
Rolling Stone.
Crazy.
Holy shit.
Crazy. Yeah.
So you just grew up around music.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All everywhere. And it's funny, too, like in Inglewood. And my dad, like, you know, my dad was making music in the garage. He had a makeshift studio in our, like we were in a triplex by that time.
Yeah.
And so he had a garage in the back and he had, you know, all this stuff like old school Pro Tools, old school Apple Mac, you know.
Yeah.
But man, it would just be like weed smoke and his homies and music. It was like every damn day. And, you know, as I grew up, I just, you know, I would sneak into his garage. He didn't really let me fuck with this stuff. So I would go in and learn to teach myself guitar, keys, bass, singing and stuff. Yeah. So.
Wow.
Damn.
Yeah.
And how are you as a student?
You know what? Honestly, pretty good. Like pretty good until punk rock. You know, like to be honest,
Punk rock ruins and saves your lives.
Yo,
yes.
Right?
100%.
You know what I'm saying? It's like this crazy sort of like, I don't know, like academic ambivalence. You know, you go in and you're like, all right, well, this is all systemically, you know, institution. It's an institution, and I don't believe in this institution. And it's putting me these bells came from the Industrial Revolution just to get you in and out of your, you know, your 10-minute lunch to back into the fucking factories. Fuck that. And you're like, but I also like this American history shit because it lets me fight back. Like, so, you know, you're just like going in at this like weird ambivalence with being studious. But around high school, when I really got into when I got into like punk rock for real, like I was starting to get into, you know, Nausea and like you know, like like getting into like you know that shit and a lot of anarcho punk rock. I was like, nah, fuck this. Like this is here to destroy my soul, you know. So I just stopped fucking caring. It wasn't even about, oh, I'm not doing well because of this. It's just literally I was like, this doesn't interest me.
Yeah.
Like the result, right? The result of this institution does not appeal to me.
Yeah.
And there was no access to anything else that did, right? And that's why I really see like a lot of my homies, I know why people get into, because look, we grow up and we're told in a Western world where capitalism and Judeo-Christian values, you know, are what this foundation sits upon, right? Like this is what we base most of the Western world off of.
Yeah.
You need to make money. That's what they're telling you. You need to make money. And we can give you this path, and we're only going to let you make this much, but at least you could pay your rent, maybe have a kid, and maybe get through with a car. You see why people go, well, if that's all I'm getting out of this, then I'm going to go deal drugs. And if that's all I'm getting out of this, then I'm going to go or try to be a good basketball player or a good soccer player or whatever, or an artist.
Yeah.
You see why these alternative pathways are forged. At least I did. And that's
I completely agree because I felt that
it.
with school, like, you know, like, yeah, I wasn't dumb. I honestly just didn't care.
Right.
But there was just something about this pocket that I was just like, man, I don't like this pocket.
Mm-hmm. I like
you know,
that,
and meanwhile, like a lot of people that I looked up to, like when I heard when Dave Grohl said he dropped out of high school, I'm like,
right?
Look at Dave Grohl.
You feel me?
You know what I'm saying? He's Dave Grohl.
He's a Foo Fighter.
Yeah, he's Foo Fighter.
That's my hero. There you go.
Exactly.
Yeah,
you know? So it's interesting that, you know, I don't think a lot of people really break it down that way because a lot of times, I think when, you know, us punks and hardcore kids, like when we're looked at like that, we're looked at as like crazy. But it's like, no, there's this pocket that we just don't necessarily. I mean, I know more successful people in punk and hardcore than I do with my homies that work like regular jobs. Absolutely. I know people in punk and hardcore that make more than my homies that work at corporate jobs.
Real talk.
Damn.
Real talk.
You know what I'm saying?
Real talk. Yeah. I mean, look, again, speaking from like a place of, you know, where we was, you know, Section 8 housing. You know, of course, yeah. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, where I grew up, again, the demographic from which I hail, look, the dude, the guy, and the gal were dealers, or they just did something that wasn't as, let's say, orthodox, right?
Yeah.
Like Dice across the street. I'll never, like my neighbor who showed me that you could even, and it ain't even about money, right? Like, it's not about money. It's about having this sense of liberation in a world that tells you it needs to be financial, right?
Yeah.
And he had that. He had cool, fun cars. It wasn't even to get from like here to the store. He just had a car that he thought looked cool and just sat there all the time. Mm-hmm. To have that type of liberation, I was like, man. Also being like me being, you know, at the time it certainly like was less white passing, but even being a light skin in Inglewood and just seeing other brothers of all different like shades kind of make something out of themselves in a place where we keep getting told we shouldn't or we can't. I was like just so, I don't know, I was just inspired, and I wouldn't even think about what he was really doing as bad. You know, the drug dealing, the hustling. I didn't really see it like that. But that's because it's, again, that's sort of environmental, right? You're taught by your environment what is right and what is wrong, and then you go out into, say, like a school, you know, public school, Los Angeles Unified School District for me. I went just outside of my little area, and I met all these white people, and it was, I swear, I met all these white people, and they were like, oh, you live where? And you've seen what? And you like all these things that were just so extraordinary or tremendously like almost confusing for a lot of people was everyday life for me.
Yeah.
I guess. So I haven't really talked about this in a while, so I guess it's like a therapy session. I'm just getting it out. But yeah.
Good, get it out.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what we do, man.
I don't know. It's an interesting thing. And then coming into punk rock in the beginning, I was like, oh, I see a lot of these similarities, because it was like really for me at the time, I was like, gangster rap. That was like the big thing for me, you know? Like that was what I got I remember my brother bringing me.
You're in the heart of it.
Dude, straight up. My brother gave me Doggy Style on a cassette tape.
Yeah.
He was like, don't tell your mom about this.
You
know?
Yeah.
I was like, all right, for sure. And I ran it, and I was like, okay, this is like adversarial, you know, against something, and it's sort of pushing against the grain in its own way, but it's funky and it's smooth, but it's still like dangerous.
Yeah.
So I found those qualities. The danger is what I really think I loved about gangster rap, about most music and art, is the danger. Again, the relative danger when compared to the status quo. And so I got that, and then I saw punk rock through skateboarding videos.
Yeah.
Again,
same.
You know what I mean?
That was the soundtrack.
Yeah, that was the soundtrack.
Every time, right?
Yeah.
And you would go from Souls of Mischief to The Faction. You know, Steve Caballero's band. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like you'd be like, fuck it, this is cool. 93 Till to Skate and Destroy. Like whatever, dude. That's cool.
Same, dude.
You know? And it was a vibe. And I think that I grew up in a time where if you were able to access it, you could understand it. And it wasn't as abstract as it may have been from like this middle period where I was seeing even me, like where we were kind of rejecting things, like, no, I don't listen to fucking Linkin Park, you know what I'm saying? Like, or you know what I'm saying? Which I never did that, but my homies did, you know, and because it was like mainstream.
Yeah.
But then as you see the underground bleed into the mainstream, then you're challenging yourself to go like, well, is it because it's cool, or is it because it's easy to monetize, or is it because for whatever? And I think that all of it at the end, this whole reason I'm even bringing this up is I believe that the perception of punk rock and hip hop and all these alternatively leaning areas is just how you feel.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I agree, man.
I completely agree with you, because I've always said this, like the energy I get from listening to Black Flag's Damage is the same energy I get from listening to Straight Outta Compton.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
True, man.
Like
Yes.
it's like, obviously it's different tones.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But there's just this energy that carries that, like, I'm like, man, like they're almost talking about somewhat of the same, of the same.
Madball, Mobb Deep.
Yo.
Same thing, man.
Yeah.
Real
Do you
talk.
know what I mean?
Real talk.
Both New York, both different areas of New York, same street shit. Different.
I love that. I love that
shit,
it's able
dude.
to do that.
Yeah.
You know, and I think it's one of the few genres that could get that kind of connection.
Wow. You know what? That's so real. I've never thought about. That's crazy that I've never thought about.
I've been thinking about this shit all the time.
That's crazy though, because hardcore. That's what made me gravitate to hardcore specifically. Was I saw dudes from the hood at shows. Mm-hmm. Eventually, I started seeing, or I was going to shows in Lenox. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Like in South Central. Like we were having shows out there. At the time, we had there was like More to Pride. and Make Move and like dudes from the hood, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, and we was like, all right, I see this. And the connection though is the adversity that you're describing in hardcore from these, at least those bands, is quite similar to a lot of the rap music.
Well, yeah, because you got to think also too, you know, hardcore and hip hop are both, you know, those are genres that people look at kind of as like, you know, because think about what like most people accept alternative rock. Most people accept, you know, the pop music. You know what I mean? So like hip hop and, you know, hardcore and punk rock aren't necessarily accepted by everybody.
Right.
Like I think about this just one time. So when I was a kid, this was in junior high, 7th grade, and I remember our English teacher was like, she was like, "Hey, bring in a song that makes you that expresses who you are." Which I was like, "Okay, this is a dope project." And then she goes, "But it can't be rap, right?"
Wow.
And so I looked at her, and I you know, at that time, 7th grade, I mean, Black Flag Damage was in the brain.
Right.
So I looked at her. I said, "Excuse me." I said, why not rap?" She goes, "I just don't like it." And I go, "Why would you ask us to bring in a project that helps us express ourselves, but meanwhile you limit it when it talks about hip hop?"
Wow.
And she was just like, "This is not up for discussion." I go, "Well, it should be," because I was like, what if somebody does? Because she had Beatles on her wall.
Right.
I said, what if someone said they didn't like the Beatles?
You feel me?
What if someone said fuck the Beatles?
You feel me? And also, what were the Beatles? They was taking drugs. They was fucking.
And that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Exactly. So like. But me being such a music nerd, I just like understood, because it was a musical project. But I like stood up for that. I got kicked out of her class, but still, like it was just good. It's just interesting. But that's the thing of hip hop and like hardcore and punk is like it's just not looked at as like the masses of like, you know. That's why when you see someone in a we talk about this all the time. You see someone in a GBH shirt, you go, "Oh, yeah, person with it."
Yeah, City Baby, what's up?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like that, I think that's why that exists and why those two genres are able to connect so well. Because you know, think about suicidal tendencies, like, you know, like that's like a combination of
both.
Yes, that's a set. They are a set. ST's a set. Straight up. I knew, like, we had a band called Scare Tactic from Venice.
Yeah.
And I did not realize that it was an ST, like, and they were affiliated and they worked at the shop. They worked at the, you know what I'm saying?
Wow.
And so, like, as I got older, seeing those affiliations was really cool for me. Again, coming from my homies, again, my neighbors, my homies, a lot of, like, they're still active, if not RIP, you know what I'm saying? Like, they were from these sets. They were from the block. They were banging. And so it was just interesting when I started to see that maybe I wasn't the only like anomalous person from this area that likes this type of music.
Yeah.
You know?
But
back to that point though, real quick, when the teacher said it can't be rap and then said it's not up for discussion, she's almost like explaining or saying without saying it, like how it's debasing. It's debasing culturally to me, right?
Yeah.
And that to me is a sort of micro representation of the institution that is public school or just schooling.
Great
typically,
point.
right?
Yeah.
It's going, No, you can be free and an artist except for these things. And what if you like those things? Well, you can't do them. And we're not even going to tell you why. We're going to stop you here. It's prohibitive in a way where if you do it, you're going to lose.
Yeah.
That's crazy to think about.
Well, I'm sitting here looking at it, I'm like, hey, you got people that like, because when she said that, I'm looking at other cats that were like, what? Like, man, we can't bring in hip hop.
That's crazy.
You know what I'm saying? I'm sitting here looking at it. It's like,
how old are you then?
This was 7th grade.
Yeah, so
I'll never forget it. I know the teacher's name and everything.
Then some kids
I'll
are probably
never forget
thinking
that
like,
day.
am I listening to bad music? Should I stop listening to him? The teacher says like, It's our question, like what you like.
And her perception of hip hop is like, think about it. But that's garbage.
Absolutely. And also, look, like, whatever. I'm going to say what I say. I sincerely believe that a lot of these presuppositions, like that teacher, that's just like a very surface level preliminary example of what you see when someone's walking down the street and someone clutches their purse because somebody's too dark. You know what I'm saying? Like, to me, it's all the same. It really is.
That energy.
All of it. I mean, you got to think, right? Like, the school that I was supposed to go to in the beginning of my school career, I did not. because where I lived, the property taxes, for public schooling, you take the property tax and they're supposed to go to the schools, right? And if you live in an area that's, down bad economically, well, then your school is going to be down bad. And some of the, so all of this is, to me, it's all systemically rooted, right? And if you're able to get out, cool. So if you get out there, but you still hail from this place, now you've got a system. Now that you're out of it, you have another system that may be quote unquote advanced, right? This school that may be advanced because it's in a higher tax bracket area. But now you've got to deal with the teacher saying that rap isn't music that you can actually represent yourself with.
Yes.
So how do you escape? You know what I'm saying? Like, how do you expect us to escape? And that's what I'm always wondering,
Also, as a teacher, like, how are you supposed to connect?
That's what I'm saying. As a teacher.
Like, these are kids you see every day.
As a teacher.
Every day for an hour in your English class.
Yup.
That reminds me of two things I want to bring up. One is that Public Enemy, to me, was a hardcore punk band. Lyrically, everything they were talking about, they were too real for the radio. Obviously, they got some radio play and some television play, but they were super punk rock to me.
Yes.
Man. And then the famous picture of Chuck D with Flavor wearing Minor Threat shirts, that connection there. And then fast forward to Sinead O'Connor when the Grammys wouldn't have hip-hop as a genre. And so Public Enemy was boycotting the Grammys. And then Sinead O'Connor performed on there with the Public Enemy logo on her head.
Yes.
Hard.
Yes.
It's punk as fuck, bro.
She was such a G, huh? She was
There's a new documentary out right now. It's incredible, dude.
Oh, I got
How she got canceled before cancel culture was speaking out against the Pope and ripping up his photo.
On stage.
And all that stuff that happened to her in the church growing up that she sung about that nobody believed. And it really happened like a year or two later after she was canceled by the industry for ripping up that picture.
Wow.
It's a sad doc, actually.
Damn.
Because they never brought it back after that, after all the truth came out about the Pope.
Right.
But she was so punk.
Yeah, hell yeah. And again, right? I'm already loving this conversation. Because it all comes back to how you represent yourself is a vibe. Right?
Yeah.
Like what is your essence? Not like what music are you listening to, particularly what. Hold on, my phone is. I gotta turn this off. Look at me, I'm tripping. There we go. Airplane mode. I'm sorry, y'all.
It's all good.
It's like what are you portraying? And not even necessarily. Although we do have signals, right? We do have our merch.
Yeah.
We do have our tattoos. We do have our styles, which I do believe in, and I think that is a great way to identify your tribe. Like I really do, and you can mix it up too. It ain't got to be one.
It's very true.
You know what I'm saying? But
I like how you're rocking like a gold chain with a Dead Kennedy shirt.
yeah,
I love that shit.
I thought I actually did that for you. I was
Thank
like,
you.
I think he'll get it.
I appreciate it.
But you know what I mean? Like I think that punk rock at its core is an essence that you emanate. It's a lifestyle that you participate in as often as you can, right? What you choose to eat.
Yeah.
When I became vegetarian and vegan as a young person, I did it it was actually political. It was political and environmental for me. It wasn't necessarily, although I do love animals. If I look at it on a scientific objective scale, I can be like, well, I mean, if we was all still hunting and catching them and do it, like I see these incisors, like I would be biting into an animal that I caught myself and blah, blah. But we don't live that way no more. We don't.
True.
That's not where we're living. That's not how we're living.
Yeah.
And the overconsumption and the political and the financial aspects of it, to me, was why I became vegetarian first and then, evolved into vegan. So, it's like a lifestyle. It's not,
man.
You know what I mean? It's
not just a sound either, like hardcore and punk and all that, especially now. The way all the genres all mesh together. I think it's beautiful. All the different sounds, melodies, screaming, harder, metal. There's all different versions of it too. Yes. And then the whole thing about I think that's the punkiest thing also, more than just for the animals, is like, I'm not going to support this evil thing that's happening.
Totally.
And these big companies and all this stuff. I ain't supporting any of that shit.
Dude.
Like, just like I'm not going to, for me being straight edge, like, I'm not going to support alcohol, tobacco. I'm going to fucking face my life head on, sober my whole life. And you know what I mean?
Facts.
You're straight edge too, right?
Yep.
And I love what I read about you about, I don't know if it was like before you claimed straight edge or looked into the straight edge thing, that you weren't down with the whole militant aspect of it. That was kind of a turnoff for you. And that's the same for me. Like I was never, like my whole band's not straight edge. My wife's not. I was never a preachy person about straight edge. It's just my personal choice. And I love that's how you embrace it as well.
100%,
Oh, wow.
man.
That's
yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about it. Like,
Had you done a lot of partying growing up?
nah, like I've never drank in my life. I've never smoked in my life.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Twins.
I love this motherfucker.
yeah, I've never because when I was again like in the hood, and whether it was my family or friends, I was just so afraid of losing my grip. I was always so
You
afraid.
gotta stay focused, man, where you live in
Dude,
too. Yeah.
you have to, bro. Like, I just thought it was crazy. Like, we was like 10, 11 years old, and my homeboys were smoking or drinking or, and it was just really wild. And I would see them, get caught off guard or like they would do some things that they wouldn't typically do if
Slipping
they were
a little
sober.
bit, yeah.
Slipping for sure, lacking always. And eventually for me, I just wanted to do so many things that required me to have like a pretty sober mind.
Yeah.
At least in the beginning, from music, skateboarding, art, but even seriously, I think a lot of it had to do with just keeping on my my like P's and Q's. I bring this up a lot, and I hope that anybody listening to this that may have the same experience can glean something from this. But like again, my crisis with identity growing up, just as a mixed person,
Yeah.
in the hood with this white Scottish mom in the hood who's gangster, like
I'm sure.
she's gangster, like.
Yeah, she's in Inglewood.
Bro, she was gangster. Like, she would pull up on, like, we had a drive. There was a drive by. No, it wasn't. They didn't even drive. They got out the motherfucker and started shooting up Dice's crib, and they shot at ours. My mom gets out of the house, goes out and starts banging on these dudes because we're in the house, we're in the crib. So she's banging on these dudes, and they're looking like, what? They probably didn't know. Their brain probably like fritzed out for a second.
Wow.
White Scottish woman yelling at this dude while he's trying to light up the crib across the street. You know what I'm saying?
Holy
like,
shit.
So those moments, for me, and just trying to again get myself centered at a young age to where I could understand my place. It just wasn't in alcohol or drugs or nothing like that. It just wasn't. And maybe that was just a predisposition, something that just was a proclivity that was granted to me through, I don't know, like neurologically or something.
Yeah.
But
And that's before you even knew what straight edge was.
I didn't even know what it was.
Yeah.
I didn't even know what it was. I just knew that when my homies were doing it at a young age, they was weird. Because we were kids.
Drinking
Yeah.
40s and shit.
Yeah, we was kids, so like a drunk kid is weird. Like a drunk kid.
This is
Yeah.
dope. Like hearing you guys talk about this, because I think about how when I quit drinking, and like I don't smoke anymore or
Yeah.
whatever.
How long
but-
you been no smoking now?
Like 5 months, I think.
Sick.
5,
You're
6
almost
months.
edge. We're
Yeah,
getting another
almost.
year. We claiming edge, bro.
Yeah. I'm a prospect. I'm a prospect.
Get him his patch.
He's got
Yeah, I
one
gotta
X.
go- got one X. I got one X. No, well, I started to think about a lot of things, and to go off what you're saying, and correct me if I'm wrong, but like this is the energy that I'm getting is that, like the life that I have right now, I've never had before, right? And so I'm doing a lot of great things. I feel really good about myself as an individual. I feel like my mental stability is really, really locked in.
Wow.
And in having that kind of like and being aware of that makes me not want to drink or smoke at all.
Wow.
Because I've never had an attack. So
Wow.
it's interesting. It just validated my that thought that I had.
Yeah.
Hearing you say you never wanted to get caught up.
Yeah.
And living, being bullied, living where you lived, all this shit.
Yeah,
And
you
also
do
like you
when
grew
you're
up in an
sober.
environment where it's very, very easy
Oh, look.
Get caught
to
up.
get
Oh, look.
you know what I'm saying? So
I had I won't say his name because I'm not trying to, whatever, but I had one of the Lakers was at my house when the first time he got high, and my other homeboy threw a burger at the back of his head. Boom, exploded, and he just like let it happen. Otherwise, he would have whooped his ass. But in that moment, I will never forget this moment. It was sitting on my little. I had 3 steps, boom, that I used to like do nose stalls and then eventually try to bomb drop off of when I was older.
Sick.
yeah.
I remember he was sitting on I'll never forget it. He was sitting on the damn stairs, and he was first time he'd been high. We was young, and my other homie took a burger from McDonald's, 29-cent, hamburger Tuesday. Whack. And I see the little diced little onions bloop flying off his head and shit, and he just didn't do nothing about it. This man was tall and strong even back then. And I just remember thinking to myself, is this an early lesson on like being like a degrading moment for yourself, something that could be denigrating for yourself, because you're not on it. I'm not saying that that's what happened. I'm just saying that that's what went through my head, right, as a young person. So I was like, okay, I don't think I want that. Also realizing that at a young age, I did have a temper. You know, I had a temper, and I was inclined to fly off the handle. That's why I skateboarded. It's why I got into fights. It's why I did all these things that were supposed to be a little more dangerous for you. I was really into it. And like I said, a lot of my homeboys, you know, started banging, and I was around that. And so I just think that the one thing that to your point, that I attributed it to was being able to stop and face myself with how I felt and what I thought was going to happen next with a clear mind. You know, that was probably my biggest thing. It wasn't anything else, because low key, I keep trying to get my mom, who's ailed, on medicinal weed. You know, again, like being like I'm actually an advocate of it. It all comes back to punk rock, right? It goes, why are you doing it? Who's telling you to do this? For what reason? Are they trying to get something out of you by selling you this thing? Are they trying to take away from you as they and make you believe that they're giving you something, when in reality they're detracting from your very existence? Like, it goes back to that. And that's where I find the issue with anything at all in the world.
Yeah.
I really, like, if my dad or whoever was maybe high a little bit less, like smoking a little bit less, then maybe we could have kicked it more. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I don't think that he should have never smoked. I don't believe that. I just believe that there are ways that you can engage in, you can indulge in things and still be a whole person.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Same.
And do you think that it is mostly because you've removed these things from your life that you're seeing these successes? Or
I think so.
Good
Big
point.
time. Because when, you know, I quit drinking in 2014. I lost my best friend to suicide. He was a heroin addict.
Oh,
And then I lost my brother to drugs.
I'm sorry.
You know, so seeing that, and then, you know, dealing with those things, but I was still drinking a lot.
Right.
And when they had passed, because they passed like 4 years apart,
Yeah.
I kept drinking. I'd like,
Right.
you know, so it was my best friend first,
You're in
then my
pain.
brother.
You're in so much
Yeah.
pain.
And so I was in a lot of pain. So which, you know, when sorry, I'm not crying.
No, no.
I was like, this probably sounds like
I
I'm
said, damn, this is deep.
No.
I feel you.
No, I literally, it's the drink. I swear to God.
It's okay to get emo on
I was
the
going to
air.
say, you go ahead, bro.
No, I'm not crying. But I was like, damn, it sounds like the lump in the
You
throat.
feel me?
No, so I think, you know, it made me better when I quit those things. And yes, I did see success, because it was the first time where I actually faced something very, very tough head on.
Right.
You know, because I tried to like think of my brother and best friend's death as like, you know, that's life. You know, like, and instead of just realizing like, yo, you lost two of the most significant people in your world.
Wow.
Right.
Wow.
You know, like you got to understand that.
Wow.
And it's like, and then I started realizing the first step I realized was like, okay, you know, my best friend and my brother, they're not here. And there was things they wanted to do.
Wow.
But I was like, so I'm still here.
Wow. Okay.
And then there's things that I could do. I could, you know, and I got back into stand-up comedy because I had quit doing stand-up.
You funny as fuck, bro.
Oh, thank you.
You're funny, dude. You're funny.
He kills it.
Yo, for real.
I appreciate it. But, you know, like, and that's what I'm saying. So, I, you know, and before I had quit, you know, I was just kind of like going through the motions of stand-up. But, the most, like, my mind when it comes to stand-up now, like, I just have this, like, I'm like, damn, I've never really had this before. I've never had these great things. I've never really had such, you know, consistent positive people in my life. You know, a lot of friends that I drank with, I don't even really talk to them anymore.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because they're still doing it. So, yeah, I think there's this, you know, yeah, I did see a lot of successes. And I also, but it wasn't like major successes like, oh, I'm getting spots at the Comedy Store or Hollywood Improv. It was more so that like, damn, I'm alert and I'm aware and I'm moving.
Right.
Those were the things that I found as like very successful, and I still do to this day. Like that's what I'm like very appreciative of. And it's
amazing, man.
Because I think due to the fact that I am alert and am moving, I am able to grab in more than I think I've ever had before.
Right. That was, if I may,
No, go ahead, yeah.
you can say no to answer this question. But when you were, after these events had happened and you were in fact drinking and consuming these things, were you aware that you were doing it to avoid, if you were, to avoid facing it? Were you aware of that?
Yeah. You know what?
If you in fact were, maybe you weren't doing that. Maybe it was something else.
Softly.
Right.
I didn't want to accept it.
Okay.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
softly as if a animal in the dark. Oh, sorry, I messed that up.
It's like you
I don't know why I
almost
just thought
almost
of-
like
but
you never
but
agreed.
there was
You never agreed about
there
it.
was like
Right.
you know, because I was trying to like not be so sad
Right.
about their deaths, and meanwhile I was. You know what I mean? I was strongly
Keeping
sad.
it
I mean,
inside, man. Yeah.
Wow.
man, when I would drink, I would get real emotional, and I'd go off walking just far by myself,
Right, right,
drunk and
right.
like, you know, away from people. Like, you know, I wasn't, you know, the drinking I was doing at that time wasn't like I was like fucking people up or like, you know, like
Yeah.
smashing bottles or you know
Yeah.
breaking into stuff. I was just very, very sad.
Introspective.
Depressed, man.
I was
Wow.
very, very sad, and I kept thinking the alcohol would be the thing. You know, and then one day I woke up and I one of my wild turkey nights, and I just fucking I woke up the next day and I was just like, man, I don't want to do that. And
Wow.
yeah, I just said I didn't want to do that, right? And then that's when I realized the brother and best friend thing of like, oh, they didn't get to do what they did.
Oh.
And I'm like, I'm pretty sure if they were here right now and like, you know, I'm pretty sure my brother would have never taken those pills that night.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure my friend would have never, you know,
Yeah.
committed suicide. I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure, like, you know, if they were alert and aware.
Right. Interesting. Wow. Yeah. I mean, that's.
And I say that respect, and that's not like a diss to them.
No.
You know, like, I say that respectfully, but like as someone that was a full connection to those people, I have to realize that. I have to realize, you know, these sort of things, because I knew them on such a deep level that I'm like, man, they would have never done that if they would have known that was the outcome.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
for
And
sure.
you and again, if I may, do you really feel that way? Do you really?
I strongly do, because I've seen the best sides of them.
Wow.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like, I've seen the best sides of those humans, and unfortunately, you know, because we come from strong trauma. Like, I grew up in Arizona, right? And so, like, it wasn't like the hood or anything, but it was just poor people,
Right?
You know what I mean? And there was a lot of trauma in people's homes.
Yes.
You know, a lot of stuff going on in people's
Yes.
houses that, you know, and it put us in an environment where we didn't think we were abused children.
Sure. It's
You know what I
baseline.
mean?
That's baseline. That's
Yeah,
existence.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's existence. So, but meanwhile, we were all hurting deeply.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I
yeah.
think that's just where it comes from. But and yes, we all had that trauma, but I did see the best sides in my brother and my best friend. I saw a lot of strength
Wow.
in those dudes.
I
And
hear you.
that's why and those strengths were like seemed to happen more, but then there was times they would get pulled back by the certain, you know, these things.
Yeah.
You know, these things that set us up for failure
Absolutely.
in our society. You know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's what it is, isn't it? I talk about this a lot, actually, especially in like the black community, is the stigmatized discussion of mental health. My sister's ex, the father of my niece, he passed away because it was on some lean. It was just too much lean one
Wow.
night and just went to sleep and never woke up. Okay.
Damn.
This man, Chico, he had been stabbed. He had been shot. He had hopped fences getting away from people, broke his damn legs, made it out alive.
Wow.
This man was a superhuman. Superhuman. And one night, because he had been progressively getting more and more burdened by his own mental, you know, afflictions, right?
Yeah.
Progressively more and more, and his people be making fun of it. Oh, don't be a bitch. We gotta catch this lick. Whatever it had to be, he had to put on the face that a trauma-riddled environment requires you, or makes you feel like you are required to wear. Wear this face. Don't talk about this. Don't act like this. Don't turn this way. Go forward, no matter what. And
Be tough and suck it up.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
And look, so we got now we've got it compounded. Now we've got levels, right? We got just being a man or a male in society, right? Like what a male means, gender roles, all this gender assignments, all these things. As that's just number one in America. Then you have being like a black man in America. Then you have being a black man from the hood. And then you have being a black man from the hood who was affiliate. Like you start to look at it just like if you were to put this shit on paper, kind of like what you're saying. If you just went to put on paper, you'd be like, oh, my man's probably hurting right now. If you just look at this equation and what it equals, it equals hurt. We should probably check in with him. We should probably talk to him. We should probably sort of fix this, maybe this, maybe it's not long division anymore. Maybe it's a subtraction sign we need to put here. Figuring that out, and I'm not crying, but inside, like, and the reason I'm not crying, actually, to be completely honest with you, is because I'm still working on coming from there and being able to express myself in a way where I can cry, because I would cry right now if I was, and I'm working on it. But the fact that I saw him just before he passed away, and I knew something was up, but thought he gonna keep going because he's been shot, he's been stabbed, he's been broke his legs and made it out. He's okay. He's gonna be fine. Even me, someone who's walked through this all and was in bands talking about it and been on podcasts talking about it. Yeah, I still had that part of me. I was like, he gonna be all right. And then I get a call that he just fell asleep and didn't wake up. Wasn't even necessarily that he was trying to do it, but he was most certainly trying to numb that pain. Yeah. And as the pain gets more and more, as it hurts more and more, it gets harder and harder. You got to take a little bit more to keep that down, right? It's like tattoos, right? You got to get a few more. You got to go to your head after you get, what I'm saying? You got to, it's doing reps. I did 10. I got to do 15 next week because I got to, right? I did 12 stairs on my skateboard. I do 15, next week. Like, our minds are programmed in this way to see what is next. And that can either hold us up or it can completely hinder us. And for him, unfortunately, it hindered him in a way where he's no longer here. And so just being able to understand trauma on a fundamental level is something that I personally, I'm like in therapy now and just trying to work through it all and see how much better my life can be. And this is me being like pretty lucid and sober my whole life. Yeah. I certainly found myself digging into other things as my vice or my drug of choice, if you will. My like metaphoric drug of choice would be other things, whether that was art in a way where I sacrificed my family, my relationships, jobs, all these things, whether it was, putting myself in positions, risking my own life, like quite literally traveling to Hawaii to a jump that they said is about 100 feet that people have died on. I said, well, I can do that. Let me see. I want to feel that. I want to feel what this feels like, because after, I'd pushed myself so far on stage. I'd pushed myself so far in my life. Physically, it became like a drug. I was like, I need to go further. So far that my wife actually, my family had a straight up intervention with me. They was like, we saw what you did at Rock on the Range, this festival in the Midwest. We saw what you did.
I think that's where I met you.
Yeah, it was.
Oh, it was Sonic Temple.
Sonic Temple. Which
Temple.
Was Rock
Did you
on the
do a
Range
crazy
before,
flip off something?
Bro, I was like, I climbed.
I watched your set.
Yeah.
I watched your set.
Yeah.
What did you do?
I climbed the truss, right? But like it was like main stage, so it was to the top, but it was raining. And I was holding on and I was headbanging, and then I let my hand go and said like this, one hand, blah, blah, blah. And even like Ali Hagendorf, who was at Spotify at the time, came up to me, Jose from, Octane, like all these people that just kind of just beginning to know me, who didn't have to say this to me, were like, I love you and we love your show and we love what you do. But that was negligent. That was like a high disregard for your safety.
Wow.
And on a finite level or a bigger level like your life. And I was like, damn. Oh. And then my family sat me down. I'll never forget this. I come home, pull up. I'm like, what's up? And I just had a kid too. That was another thing too. I was just had my baby, and my wife, my mom, I think my sister at the time too. They sat me down. They was like, this ain't it. Like, this ain't it. The way you're doing it, you're going a little too far. So I had to, I started going to therapy then to figure out what it was. And, she, my therapist was just like, you take things so far that eventually there's nowhere to go there's nowhere else to go other than past that last point, and eventually it's gonna be too far.
Wow.
Eventually you ain't coming back. And
Wow.
I was like, whoa.
So it was beyond expressing
yeah.
yourself. It was beyond pushing yourself. It was
I gotta keep it real.
Yeah, it was something else.
Yeah, I gotta keep it real. Like
Yeah.
I gotta keep it real. You know, especially all these kids out there being like, "Oh, you're wild," like blah blah blah. You know, best of Jason Butler compilations and shit. You know, me like
Yeah.
throwing myself through fences and shit. Like
I watch
you
them
feel
all.
like
I watch them all.
Did you feel
I
like you
watch
had to
them all.
prove something to yourself?
to myself.
Yeah.
To myself, and that's
Yeah.
the scariest part.
You know what's so wild about you saying that, because I watched all those videos.
Yeah,
They call it Deep Dive Lacey.
Yeah, they call me Deep. Yeah, they call me Deep Dive Lacey.
It's true though.
But I've watched those videos. I've seen those videos, and yeah, you know what's so wild is that, like, you could tell with certain people when it's a performance.
Right.
But I'm looking at him. I'm like, that is not a performance.
No,
that
dude.
is a lot
Yeah,
going on.
There's a lot.
You know
Eddie
what I mean?
Vedder in that one video, that's a performance. When Eddie Vedder
Oh,
climbs up
the
on the
Pink-
rafters.
Oh,
and all
yeah.
that shit.
the swing and
Pink Pop, Germany, 1992.
Woo!
Jesus. That's performance.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
performance. But, like, to your point, yeah, I do think, when I would watch those videos, I was like, damn, because it's so organic to where I'm like, there's something there.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? And back to, your boy Chico, I was thinking about it. You said something about, like, on paper. I'm like, man, imagine if Chico was just able to write his story on paper and give it to someone. And then someone sees that and goes, damn, like, imagine if people with these traumas were able to just, if someone's just like, hey, write your story down.
Yes.
Imagine it was okay to be a man.
Just write, and not making Chico feel any pressure.
Yes.
Like, hey, Chico, would you just write your story down for me? Just
It's like how you journal every day.
That's it. I was
so
just
journal. Yeah,
journals every day. Yeah.
I was
like
just
a
think-
crazy man.
do you like study stoicism or anything?
Yeah.
Okay.
Come on now.
Oh boy, I'm on it, boy. Come on, now. I'm on my Seneca Aurelius.
Epictetus.
Yeah. What you were saying though, Toby, that's it though. That's it. Again, it's our surrounding, it's our environment, right? It's our setup. If our setup does, dude, look, this is omnipresent, bro. This is like from mental health to the damn teacher telling you that rap don't count. If your setup around you doesn't make you feel comfortable, just like anything else, just like plugging in your guitar and it don't work, well, maybe we shouldn't play yet. Looking at the stair set and being like, it's wet down there. Maybe I don't hit this one today. If your shit around you is saying, this ain't gonna land, you're gonna be hurt more by trying this. By you telling me this, I'm gonna make you. I wouldn't say this, but this is like around me. This is what I'd be saying. If you tell me that you feel like a punk, I'm gonna make you feel like a bitch.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's crazy. That's crazy.
And that all that stuff that I've seen my friends go through, or even hearing these stories, like, that's why I feel like I am the dad that I am now with my son. That communication, that honesty, that emotion. It's okay to cry. It's okay to be sensitive. It's okay to share emotions. All that extra manly tough shit that, like, we grew up with. Or I grew up without a dad. So I'm just saying, people in general, like, you can't cry, you can't show emotion and shit like that.
I'm telling you.
Suck it up, man up. And then you fucking explode or go onto drugs, and that's how you escape it. And then you die. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I'm telling you that, like,
fucking,
I have there's not a lot of dads like you.
No, low key.
Thanks, man.
I'm telling you, there's
let's
not
talk
a lot.
about it. Let's talk about it. No, let's talk about it.
You especially like my situation.
I am your dad pretty
three
much
different
now.
dads. You know what I mean? But
I
I'm
did adopt you.
telling you, like, there's not a lot of dads like you, dog.
in the whole world.
I mean,
Come on.
it's rare. And I'm not saying the whole world. I'm just saying, like, it's so rare for dad to just really express and connect with their kids on such a level.
Wow.
Yeah, and let's talk about this then. You said in the world. I'm going to just go ahead and say it like this, right? We shouldn't be able to say this, right? It should be more frequent that you are a more of a commonality, right? That it's more normal to find a dad like you. We should, and I'm going to say it, dude. I'm going to say it like, fuck it. I know things are hard. I get it. I know systemically, I get it. And I'm not mad, and I'm not pointing fingers at nobody. Again, what I'm saying is we should set up a world, or at least a system, that promotes being a fucking dad. Like being a dad to where you are a part of your son, daughter's, your children's lives, where you are supported in, there's parental leave. There's fucking, there's time off of work because you need to help bring this person into society.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like we
Yeah.
wonder, we have children and we have all these, again, on a wildly, eventually, an inevitably collapsing capitalistic system, right? It's just like, it's a snake eating its own tail. It will, in fact, collapse. It's just what's going to happen. We have so much capitalism telling us that, look, I know that you want to have this child, but in order to have this child, this is how much you have to make, and this is how much you have to work in order to make that. And then in order to get there, you have to go to this school. And in order to get to this school, your parents had to go to this school. And in order for that to happen, they had to make this money. I mean, it is so crazy. If you were to break it down on paper, again, if your system, if your area, if your environment isn't supporting it, I understand why it's difficult. So this is why we're going to give you your flowers today, Toby. I told you this. I reached out to you on Instagram, just random, on some random shit, being like, I really love how you are with your son. Because I was like, just became a father. We're going to give you your flowers today and be like, it's hard, bro. It's not easy to be the dad you are. And I just, so much respect for you and so much love for you, like for being an example in our community. Like in our community, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Hardcore, punk rock, hip hop, podcast, alternative world.
Yeah.
And the community of like fathers or, sons of fathers that may have not been exactly what we'd hoped for.
Yeah. And to springboard off of that, like,
thank you, man.
I think the way you are with your son and the way you treat him, I think that's what's making him tough.
Wow.
That's tough.
Wow.
Tough, like, you see what I'm saying?
Yes, I do.
You see how I get there?
Yes, I do.
Because the way most fathers are with their, sons, and it's like, yeah, but they're only, and I think a lot of times people are just really trying their best.
Yes,
and not everybody. This is all first try for us.
Of course,
you know what I'm saying?
Of course.
So, but a lot of times, and it's all due to a lack of education on a father's part because they, their father wasn't necessarily.
Correct.
So they're like, oh, I need to make my son like this.
Correct.
Like, you gonna go out there, you gonna do this.
Correct.
But I'm telling you, that's not the fucking way.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
right.
My stepfather tried to do that with me. I mean, it took me thank God for punk rock and hardcore, obviously. But I'm telling you, like, the way you are with your son, that's how you make a son tough. That's how you make your kids tough.
Wow. Mentally fortifying and emotionally fortifying
being alert,
your child.
like think about what your son does every day. He goes to surf. He's not a kid that's on the computer all the time.
Wow.
Like, he's not playing video games. He's surfing.
Works.
He skates.
Love
he works.
Playing drums and shit.
He plays drums.
Playing drums in my band now.
Yeah, he plays drums in his band. You know what I mean? He does all these things, and he's a good kid. Like he'll always tell us, like, he'll be at the beach and this dude tried to fight me, but like he doesn't even try to fight people.
See, that's strength.
He ain't trying to engage in a fight.
Strength.
Like, he don't want to fight. Like that. That's what I'm saying.
Strength.
Do you see what I'm saying? Like
that's
tough.
strength. I'm gonna tell you right now. I grew up never walking away from a fight because I thought that was gonna make me the man that my father and other fathers and other people around me made me believe I had to be, that I had to fight my way to get the respect. And I'm going to tell you right now, it was time wasted. Time wasted. I mean, sure, 100%, like, to this day, I'm still dealing with it. I'm still doing my best to not pop off when shit gets wild. But I know that there were so many moments in my life that I misidentified my sadness with anger. I said to myself, "You're angry," when in reality I was sad.
Man.
I was scared.
Man,
that's real. That's
Did you have a tight family unit?
Nah, not like that. No, it was me and my mom's. Really, me and my mom.
Like that.
Yeah, me and my mom's. Yeah, she was cool as fuck. Like, really.
But like tough. Was she like a stern mom? Was she?
She was beautifully dichotomous. She was right in the middle.
Okay,
right in the middle.
Yeah.
Right in the middle. She was so good. And I always say it on stage. I was like, my mother taught me how to be a man. Like, she was so good with the emotional, letting me be emotional, letting me sort of, and allowing me the space and almost encouraging more emotion from me, from the residual effects of the environment when I would try to repress it.
Yeah.
So she would encourage it, which was really good. And she would also be gangster. Like I said, I saw her just run out, in front of the glizzy, like, just like whatever.
That's so crazy.
I say, and at that moment, I was like, "Oh, you're actually crazy." Like, I ain't fucking with mom. Like, my mom would whoop my ass one time, and that was it. That was it. But You know?
That's so funny.
I feel like when you're talking about too, like different environments are, people growing up, different households, the manly stuff, the tough stuff. For me, like, yeah, my dad passed when I was 3, my mom, 3 boys, my grandparents, et cetera, getting into punk rock, skateboarding, meet my wife on tour when I was a roadie for Sick of It All.
Wow.
We have this punk rock love affair, this friendship, make my son purely out of love. My wife's pregnant on the Boxcar Racer tour with the Used. And then we take my son on tour his whole entire life. He went to Japan 3 times before he's 9 years old. He sees the world. He sees the cultures, all of his crazy fucking tatted up uncles from all around the country.
Yeah.
And this environment and this open-mindedness and this compassion. You know, vegan family. My son never had meat. And his dad never did drugs. And we were around all these fucking people that... People with tats were like a normal thing to him. When he saw people that weren't sleeved, he's like, that's kind of weird.
Yeah.
Just the way he was raised. I feel like he was raised in this pure punk rock thing. Like, I never went to college. I barely went out of high school. You know, we didn't plan how much money do we have to make this baby like you're talking about. We just fucking did it and we dealt with it.
Right.
And that's a beautiful thing. And my wife gets, you know, she deserves just as much props as I get for, you know, being there with me my whole life, my career, and let me be a big child running around screaming this fucking music on stage. Because we're not grown ups when we're in bands like this. We're like big kids to get to do what we fucking love. And so like my wife is like she saved my life in a sense too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Wow.
Shout out to my wife. Yeah.
Shout out
100%.
to your wife for real.
Shout out to you got a great foundation.
Yeah.
You know, there was something I saw that happened that I was like, wow, I don't think I've ever seen that happen. So it was the first time Max had practiced with you guys, and you guys were about to do Boston, the House of Blues, or whatever, before that gig, and he was practicing the songs. It was the first time he practiced with y'all as the full band, and there was one song that he was kind of not getting or understanding, and I remember, you know, he got teary-eyed about it, you know, like he was like, you know, just that frustration. And
he wants to make proud too.
And it's like, like he's like, oh shit, I'm playing for my dad's band, who's been a band for like 26
No pressure.
years.
Now
You know what I mean? He was 18 at the time. Like that's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
So like I saw him tearing up, you know, and cry, you know, get a little worked up, and meanwhile the whole squad was just like, oh, we'll take a break. We got this, you know, like you know, I'm telling you.
I remember that. Take a breather.
Yeah. You know, why don't we just step outside, take a breather?
Wow.
Don't be so hard on yourself.
He came back in,
killed it,
and then when the live show came, killed it. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
I have a question for you, Toby.
Yeah.
So if it was not your son, if it was like a homie who was older that you've been friends with for however long, would y'all have taken a breather, or would you be like, let's just try again? Let's push through this.
I mean, if the person was getting emotional and you could tell they were, of course, 100%.
See, you're good. You're good.
100%.
You're good.
If somebody's getting teary-eyed and they're fucking like, you can tell they're like they're fucking stressed and intimidated. 100%.
Take this as an anecdote, and everybody listening. That's anecdotal for real. Like that shit is just. Again, and I subscribe. Look, Loki, I read the books and shit. I'm like on some Mamba mentality. Just go. But you know, the way that you would approach that, regardless of it being your son or your homie or a fill-in or whatever, that's really important. Like to delineate the two situations, but still approach it the same way. Yeah, that's big, dude. That's big. Again, I want people to hear that. I want people to hear that. That's big. I think that's what. I just think we need more compassion, more empathy, more understanding on so many levels. Like when I started Fever, I was like I think one of the pillars I stood on was empathy. Was like really trying to. I didn't even really want sympathy. I wanted people to try to get inside of the shoes of somebody else and be like, "Oh, this might feel like this," even if it's like. Even if it's what's the word I'm looking for? Like if you're adopting the empathy for a little bit. Yeah. You know, even if it's simulated. Yeah. I want you to really try to get inside of what it might feel like to be on this person's ride. You know, when it's bumpy. Mm-hmm. You know, I want you and to talk about the dads again. It's no shade or diss or disdain to these fathers trying their best at all, because I'm talking about the systems that don't support us in being, whether it be a father, parents, being people that can be emotionally and mentally liberated. Yeah. You know, we're living, look, man, like it was all supposed to be hippie shit when I was a kid. And then I got older and was like, oh, wait a minute. I'm trying to open my third eye too. Like, let me get this bitch wide open. Let me get some, you know what I'm saying, some clear eyes and see, you know, because it's like we are sincerely programmed, you know what I'm saying? And if you can unplug even for like 30 seconds of the day, maybe it's once a week, and then maybe it's twice a week, and then maybe it goes to an hour a month, maybe it goes to 10, whatever it is. If you can unplug just for a little bit and actually try to see what might be beyond what they're telling you is there,
Yeah.
I promise you, you'll see that all the things we're fighting about, all the divisiveness, it's all set up so that they can keep having all the fun, going on all the trips, exploiting and plundering all the resources in the world. They want to keep these things. And I know motherfuckers gonna be like, oh, he's on some conspiracy shit right now. I'm telling you, just take 30 seconds today and just try to see past what's on your screen, whatever that be, laptop, phone, TV, what's on the billboard, and just listen to the world around you and see that it's probably not as noisy as they're making it.
That is 100%.
You know what I mean?
I remember seeing some of the news during the pandemic, all this shit on the news about this, and people say, I heard it's crazy in California, this and this and that.
Yep.
And then me and Chappelle or somebody go out in the streets, it'd be fucking totally normal.
Right?
And I'm like, yo, that shit look on that phone looks so fucking scary.
We would get calls like all the time from like
And I'd be
family
outside,
back
I'm
home. They'd be like, "Are you okay?" I
You
go,
feel me?
I go, "Yeah,
Like,
why?"
we're running canyon right now, chilling with no mask, with no mask on, hiking.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like it was just, you're so right about that, man.
Dude.
I love how like punk rock really instilled in you to question everything.
Everything.
And I love that about punk rock.
Yes.
It kept your mind so open and you aware of everything around you.
Dude.
So
Do you know what I mean?
Sorry.
Go ahead.
So were you, discovering the punk rock, like, were you set on like I'm gonna be in a band?
That
Were
was
you-
it.
that was-
And honestly, even before that, it goes back to
Really?
the essence. Like, low key, if I'm being super, super real, it was Marty McFly, which is Michael J. Fox,
Yeah.
Wow.
in Back to the Future. Straight up, this man was waking up, going to some weird ass like scientist house in the morning who had all these contraptions, playing a big ass amp, skating to school. He had a baddie at school. You know what I'm saying? Like you know what I'm saying? And then he was just and being told like you'll never. I remember that's I remember he goes, "You're just too darn loud." When he's trying out for the enchantment or for the school dance. And just seeing him persist and how cool it looked, and that was it for me. I was
and
like,
his shoes too, bro.
bro, what? Them Nikes? Come on, boy. And the vest, he was fly before fly. You know what I'm saying? Like he
actually was. Yeah.
He pull up to Melrose right now, and he
was OG hipster.
They'd be sweating, boy.
Yeah.
They'd be all over. So for me, I was like, I was 5 when my dad showed me that movie.
Mm-hmm.
I was born in '85, so my dad showed me that movie, in 1990. And I got this sort of like cognizance around it and started to understand it. And I was like, oh, I want to do that. I want to skateboard. I want to play music, like, because that looks cool. And then when he ripped that Chuck Berry song with Johnny B. Good, that also spoke to me. Like, I don't know. I know it sounds so kind of like silly, but it really did. It really spoke to me because he was in that moment, right? And if you haven't seen it, just go back and watch this. It's towards the end. He's playing his guitar, bam, he's kicking, and he starts to wild out. He goes off the script, and he starts ripping. Johnny B. Good, but now he's playing like some Van Halen shit.
Yeah.
Kicks the amp over, wilding. He is a rock star in this 20 seconds. He's the guy. He closes his eyes, slides to his knees, pulls the guitar up on the last note, whee, holds it out. There's a little shimmer on the goddamn fretboard. And he looks over and everyone is tripped out. This man had transcended his own body, his own like what was okay. And he just experienced it in that moment and got sucked back into reality, only to find out that later that song, is going to be massive,
Yeah.
And I really think that people should take
That's incredible.
Nobody's
ever said that as an influence for music or nothing. That's
No.
so
Dude,
cool.
that truly it was truly my shit, and so that was
that
really
was it for you. Like
that was it. But that was punk rock. That's what punk rock was to me.
Yeah.
It wasn't necessarily a sound because he was playing, and so when you see me in Fever, you can kind of get a better understanding of like why I believe in hybridizing things and why I think that just because I say it's punk rock, but it's got sub bass and beats in it doesn't mean that it has to sound like this.
Exactly.
It's because that man went up there and played Chuck Berry and then started doing these things that had never been done before together. And then years later, people were like, oh, that's actually pretty hard.
Yeah.
So
is it safe to say nobody's done flips on stage like you since HR?
dude, I
You
mean,
know what I'm saying? I haven't seen that.
I haven't.
The way that
And I'm
I don't
sure you love the
know.
Bad Brains.
Oh, come on now. That was, again, Bad Brains, Fishbone.
Woo,
You know what I'm
Fishbone.
saying?
Wow,
like
there we
the
go.
Shout out to Angelo, man.
Yo,
Best,
real
dude.
talk, real talk.
Underrated, man, that band.
Dude, what? I saw them in like Santa Monica when I was like in high school.
Wow.
And it just changed my life again for me, sort of floundering through this crisis of like, identity
Yeah.
in black culture, and not even really like American white culture, like Scottish white culture, but being in America, and having most of my father's side deceased or like estranged, and all of my, existing family was Scottish, but in Scotland.
Yeah.
So I really found out about who I was through my friends, like through my neighborhood and through music and my friends. But seeing Fishbone, so seeing Bad Brains, I was like, oh, that happened, because at the time in the 90s, I wasn't able to like actually see Bad Brains if there was ever like a moment where HR would come back and do whatever. But then I saw Fishbone in the flesh, saw it happen, and was like, okay, so brothers are still doing this, right? And they're doing it. It's funky. It was funky.
Yeah.
And that to me, again, is like, I believe it's intrinsic to the culture, but also I would go as far as saying that this is epigenetic. I would go as far as saying that the way sometimes we move and groove and play the music as black people is just different. And I would, like I said, I think it would transcend beyond just the culture. Sometimes, because look, I'll tell you this right now. My son, who is like, technically on paper, he's a quarter black, got red hair, green eyes, and he is pale as a ghost, right?
Wow.
He is pale as a ghost. When this boy gets on the drum, I'm telling you, he's 5. He just turned 5. He gets on the drums, when he dances, when he freestyles, any of this, he is in the motherfucking pocket. Like
Wow.
like dope. But like in a way that, you would see like a young kid in church play or sing or move. But you look at him, if you look like his nose and his lips and his hair's mad curly, he looked like Drake's kid. I don't put him on.
Okay.
I don't put him on the internet because it's a wild place out there.
Yeah.
But he looks like Drake's kid. And so when he moves and when he does anything rhythmically inclined, he's always Oh, and here's another story about him that's, I don't know, maybe it's just a total coincidence, but he was in the vintage shop with my mom's, and there's all these shirts, different colors, orange, green, pink, blue, white, black, whatever, all these different designs. And for whatever reason, he said, I want that one. And my mom said, you want that one? He said, I want that one. And my mom calls me, FaceTimes me. Jay, I know that, you're pretty aware of like how Pascal, identifies, and want to make sure he's, but he's looking at this shirt. And I'm like, what is it? And she turns the phone to the shirt, and it says, descendant of greatness, and it's the continent of North Africa.
Wow.
Okay. And I'm like,
Holy shit.
word? He wants that shirt? I was like, did you tell him what it is? She's like, no, he just came up and grabbed it. And I was like, you know what?
Damn.
Get that boy that shirt.
Yeah.
Get that boy that shirt. And he comes home and he's like, look at the shirt I got. I'm like, I love that. I let him rock it for a minute, blah, 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 whatever. About a week later, I sit him down. I'm like, hey, can I tell you what that shirt says? He's like, yeah. So I tell him, and I just start explaining to him his lineage and being like, look, like dad had this too, but you have it even more. Like, very, very, you've got light skin, but you have this heritage. You have this lineage that precedes you, that is powerful, full of kings and queens, and just making him understand that he's gonna go out there and everyone's gonna look at him as a white dude. And I need him to understand and have the respect and love and adoration for the culture, so that he can actually enter a space that maybe me or my dad or Chappelle, you know what I'm saying, couldn't walk into the same way and sing the praises of black culture. You know what I'm saying? Go in and be like, oh, actually, my grandfather was in War and Little Richard and he's a black artist and blah, blah, My dad is blah, blah, blah. Like, my niece is, or excuse me, my cousin is a beautiful black queen. Like, and doing it in a way that isn't performative and isn't corny and and where he doesn't look crazy, and just, but understanding his position too.
Can I ask you something?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, you just made me think of something. So when you were growing up, obviously you dealt with the, I dealt with the same shit in Arizona. You just kind of, it comes with the territory.
Totally.
But did your folks ever, your mom or dad ever give you this understanding of where you truly come from to where you were able to walk comfortably through a lot of that wild shit that cats like you and I go through.
Yeah.
I was the only black kid in my neighborhood that was skateboarding and listening to, going to punk rock shows and all this shit, and people looked at me as like, what the fuck?
Right.
Is it? You know what I mean? So, but also like I struggled, walking through that. Now, so I, forwarded to you and asked, like, was there any way, or like, how did you find your comfort to be able to walk in your own skin and just like let the noise be noise?
Wow, that's a great question. To answer the first part of the question, no. Like, the only way that it's actually fucked up when I think about it. The way I started to really embrace my blackness was the adversity. And what I mean by that is, I remember kids in my school, my school that I went outside of, where I'm from, using the N-word.
Mm-hmm.
And doing it around me because I was mixed.
Yeah.
But doing it where they be like, is this okay? And I'm talking N-word, I'm talking ER.
Wow.
Use it crazy, right? And this is Los Angeles, bro. This is LA. And then looking at me like, is this okay to say? Let me test it on this light skin dude. So I started at a young age because of the adversity and understanding that being black to other people was something that it wasn't to me, right? Being black to me was the food, the dance, and the culture that were the joyous things for the most part.
Yep.
As a young person, understanding that like most of the things I loved came from black people.
Okay.
Yeah. And then as I get older, okay, so that's middle school, right? Mm-hmm. And then I go to high school, we start driving and shit, and I'm the one getting pulled out when I'm with my white friends. Mm-hmm. It's me and my best friend Randall, who's also black. We're the ones getting pulled out of the lineup and they're drunk. Like, mind you, we're still like, he was still straight edge and I was straight edge.
Jesus.
We're getting pulled out.
Mm-hmm.
We're the ones getting put in cuffs. We're the ones actually going to the station for nothing. Like, quite literally, they couldn't give us a misdemeanor. They couldn't give us an infraction because we didn't do anything. So for me, to understand my blackness was understanding all those things that when I used to go, no, that can't be real. It can't be right. And I think that my whiteness, my light-skinnedness actually allowed for me to feel that a little bit more than, say, my best friend Randall or my father. Because at least, like, these people, like I said, the reason I brought up the N-word story was because people would try that shit on me. Mm-hmm. They wouldn't try that shit on Randall. They wouldn't try that shit on my dad. Mm-hmm. They wouldn't hard R nothing around them two, but they'll try it on me. Mm-hmm. So I lived in this sort of, it was an imbalance for me internally, but I was trying to balance both sides. Mm-hmm. And eventually I just had to come to terms with who I am and what I enjoy. Again, I started to realize that it was a part of me. It wasn't something I developed. Just like punk rock. It was a part of you. It was just a part of me. It was just it just was who I was. It wasn't like, oh, I found this and I adopted it. Like, I'm a grown-ass man who literally, like, had my son headbanging this morning before he did the turkey tango at school. Mind you, the turkey tango, which I told him, we don't eat turkey and here's why. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so, and we don't celebrate Thanksgiving. Here's why. Mm-hmm. Straight up. Like, that's my 5-year-old. So, this is just, it was a part of me. So all that to say this, me being comfortable in my own skin, I had to carve out my own space and exist in that space and really have reminders every single day. And I do this to this day. Remind myself every single day why this is dope. Why is it dope that I love, I'm listening to Dead Prez on the way to school and I'm going home and I'm doing the first 4 years, Black Flag first 4 years in my car. Like, why is this dope? Because this is who I am. This is, and that's
Shout
dope.
to Dead Prez, by the way.
Yo, really though, what Last Days Reloaded with the Onyx remix is crazy. But
Last Stage remix. Yeah.
That shit crazy. So I had to honestly, and again, any young people or people our age, older, whatever, that may be struggling with this or can identify with this speaks to you, please be 100% certain that that space you have carved out, are carving out, want to carve out is dope.
It is. And to springboard off of you, when I think about myself and like going to, and I love talking to similar cats that go through this kind of thing, because it's kind of like an unknown thing.
Yep.
Right. Not a lot of people like really understand that like this is like this, culture of like what black kids or even like Mexican kids or like go through, especially when they when we really fuck with like things that majority of white people are in.
Right,
Really, you know what I mean. So I think about myself and like. Now I understand it. Like I was like, oh, people were trying to make me feel like I had these like I was like I don't know myself.
Right.
Like even today,
wow.
like people
know your culture.
Even,
That's what Derek talks about.
Exactly. Like people like even today, like when someone's like, oh, you're whiter than me, and I go, I ain't never been white.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And then whenever I say that to them, they're like, oh, it was just a joke, man. You know what I mean? And I'm not mad.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm just like, I've never been white. You know what I mean? So,
wow.
But people want me to, in a sense, I was like, bitch, I know where I'm from.
Yo,
I know where I come from. You
Yes.
know what I mean? You can't. There's just no way.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I was like, I appreciate these things over here, but I was like, I'm not.
Wow.
I'm not whiter than you, respectfully.
Wow.
You know
Wow.
what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not a diss to white people,
Right.
But
Facts.
respectfully, I'm just letting you know.
Facts.
But it took me forever to really realize that. It wasn't until I reconnected with my biological father,
Right.
like 5 or 6 years ago, when he was locked up for 17 years.
Shout out to your pops. I love you,
shout out,
pops.
yeah,
Right.
Might be
gangbanging, drug
listening.
dealer,
Yeah.
Right.
crazy.
Right.
He's good now, I think.
Yeah.
But,
He said, I think.
I don't ask me.
Shout out to your dad.
Shout
Shout out to your pops who's vegan right now.
shout out
too.
to Bossolini. Yeah, he's vegan now.
Like
yeah,
that.
Yeah, he's like that
Like
now.
that.
Yeah, he transitioned his
Hell
life.
yeah.
But he, when I first sat down with him, he was like so excited. He goes, let me show you. This is your grandma. This is your great grandma. And so like seeing that,
Yes.
it's like, bitch, you can't tell me I'm white.
Bro.
I just saw my great grandma.
Bro.
You see what I'm saying?
Dude.
And so like I've been,
Yes.
this is like a new thing that I'm like working into my
Yes.
stand up, because it is like funny
Wow.
to me how people, which I'm like, I get why people would say, oh, you're so white.
Right,
I get
sure.
it.
Well, he doesn't
Sure.
know. He
I
doesn't
get
know
it.
the main thing though.
What?
So you adopted by a white family.
Oh yeah, I was. Yeah. Sorry, I forgot about that.
All white family. So did people try to check your blackness, I guess, in a sense, because of that? And because you were skateboarding wearing black flag shirts?
One dude,
Wow.
there was this one dude in my comments. He was like, "Why you talk like that on stage? That ain't how you talk." He goes, "You all cap."
Black dude.
White dude.
White dude.
Yes, white dude.
Boy, if you don't get the fuck up out my comments.
Yeah, he was
right
like,
now.
he goes, you don't say bruh. You like, I was like, what? And I wrote back. I said, hey, are we friends?
Yo.
Oh, that's what he told me the other day.
Yeah. I was like, are we friends? And then I had posted like another video that was like a sketch.
Right. Okay.
And then he goes, yeah, that's how you talk. You don't be doing all this other shit. And it was because he goes, I listen to you on podcasts, and I'm like, that doesn't mean you know who I am.
Yeah.
I was
wow.
like, I'm like, you may listen to me for hours on podcasts.
Yes.
But you that still doesn't beat out the hours that my friends are around me on a regular basis.
Right.
So I was like, you don't know me.
Right.
You know what I mean? And a lot of people
Right.
feel like they do. And I go, just because you listen to me
Interesting.
through a microphone here doesn't mean you know me. I would watch Arsenio Hall all the fucking time. I don't know Arsenio Hall.
You feel me?
You know what I'm
Also-
saying? Like,
Also.
but you know,
No, go ahead.
but yeah, that's so like I'm just trying to connect with you because it's like I said, it is a world where we deal with this kind of weird thing where people want to say like, this is who you are, and it's
Right.
like, bitch, you don't know
Right.
my soul like that.
No, you don't. That's exactly. He's out of line though. Like on so many levels is he out of line.
Yeah.
But sincerely, like him trying to tell you as a white person who has utilized language that came from black culture to tell you that you don't speak the way you speak
And said no cap.
saying this
Yeah,
cap is actually a metaphor for how fucking crazy it is and like how diluted it and how abstract it becomes in the culture that is the hijacking of black culture, right? So you got a white dude telling you, a brother, you don't speak like this. That's cap. First and foremost,
He say, yeah, you cap.
you're capping. What do you even mean? And the thing that's crazy about that to me is like, what do you actually mean? Are you saying that he can't use vernacular, or that he can't use a colloquialism? And then if you're talking about vernacular, now you're saying that he's not allowed to what? Because he's black and that's Oxford English, or you saying he can't use a vernacular because he listens to punk rock, so he should be using more white, colloquialisms versus like it's crazy.
It's funny how people like see that. It's like, yeah, like there's certain ways I'll talk differently, but you got to realize this. From birth to 15 or 16 or whatever the hell it was until I got kicked out, I was with my biological mom, my siblings, my brothers, and cousins.
Yep.
All this shit.
Right.
That's all black people.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I didn't get adopted until my teens.
Wow. And how long you with that family for?
I mean, so to this day, like I like they're my heart and soul. Like I just have one giant family. I'm cool with my mom and stepfather, all this shit. Like I'm cool from my biological father, my adopted folks. Like so like people don't realize, like you got to realize where I come from, and to say that, like you don't know about my household growing up.
No,
bruh.
no.
You don't know. My mom was trying to use a hot comb on my hair to straighten it.
And
you know what I'm saying? But you see what
also,
but they would never fucking know that.
No. That's what I mean.
But you listen to me for hours.
Oh my gosh.
You
know what though? It goes to black culture, black people being seen monolithic. We can only be this. You know what I'm saying? Like, also, look, and this is coming from a mixed person, right? Like, you got J. Cole, who for all intents and purposes is seen as a black dude, right? You got Drake, who's same. Drake, all intents and purposes, is seen as a black dude. Then you got Steph Curry, who's 100% black, who people think is mixed. Like,
if you see both of his parents,
you know what I'm saying? So it's like this: the expectations on black people in all spaces, cannot be a monolithic observation, right? Just because you're black. And also, who's telling you you're black? We didn't come out, off the boat and say, hey, we're coming over here before Appomattox to say that we're black people. Like, no, this was something created. This was a construct. And for that person or any people that feel they have the power to take and give back when you get to be a black person, when you get to be a black comedian, when you get to be a black punk is crazy. It's actual, it's total bullshit.
Insanity.
It's total bullshit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that to me, again, is whether he knows it or not, that is a indication and an exhibition of white supremacy. If we really want to go there.
I'm not here to tear the dude down, but I'm like, it's a lack of education.
That's what it is.
It's a strong lack of
if he's
education.
Listening, he's getting schooled right now.
Maybe he's like, oh damn, I fucked up.
You feel me? But it's love. Look, it's
what if
love.
he was a bot? What if he wasn't even real?
You feel me?
And here's the thing: when I saw you guys live for the first time, I seen you twice.
Yeah,
I saw you at the Sonic Temple, and then I saw you at Under Oath, Alice in Chains and Korn at the
yeah,
Irvine.
yeah.
But when we met first, you said something that I thought was really dope, and it's like, because you're not trying to be against or like anybody. You said something, you said, hey, I just want to say something before. I think it was before you did the last song.
Yeah,
I just want to thank you guys. You know what I mean? For letting people like me and
Steve at the time, yeah.
Steve, and embracing us here and having fun with us. We know we different skin tones.
Yep.
We know there's a lot of white people out there, but we appreciate that you guys are embracing us and having fun with us. And I thought that was really dope because you're not trying to like divide. You like say, hey, we fuck with this shit all together,
100%.
and it's cool that you embrace the fact that two brothers are up here,
right.
Jamming in front of, all these people.
Right.
I think that's like cool because a lot of times, people want to push it against, and it's like, all right, well, fuck you. And it's like, no. I want to I want to have a conversation with you.
Mm-hmm.
I want to have a conversation with this.
That's it.
You think I'm capping? Let's have a conversation.
Facts. And that's what I'm saying. To dude, like, it's love. Like, when I'm saying this, like, when I'm saying it's an overarching,
Wait, so wait. So then how'd you find that?
Like in myself?
Yeah.
Dude, I mean, you know what? It was realizing that rock music is black music to begin with. Like, that was sincerely for me. I was like, oh wait, black people started this too? I was like, well then I shouldn't feel like a guest in this music. I shouldn't feel like a guest in this culture. I shouldn't feel like a guest, or I shouldn't feel when they try to make you look crazy or feel crazy for pushing the other way too, right? I had that a lot in my old band. I had a band called Letlive before.
Yeah,
I had a band before where I was like, I'm going to talk about these things and I'm going to say these things and I'm going to do it this way, sonically, subject matter, material, all these things. And some people really fucked with it, and some people were like, this is cap, or this is crazy, or this is weird, or this is, this is. But for me, I really, truly, sincerely believe that, I had myself, our guitar player at the time, he was also black. He was a black dude from Brazil. We were like the United Nations at the time. We had an El Salvadoran drummer. We had
United Colors of Bennington.
Yeah, straight up. Yeah,
So
it was straight. We were a brand.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You see us in Fox Hills Mall in a motherfucking display.
The Kmart.
You know what I'm saying? Hell yeah. Like, you can look like this too. But that was, but I sincerely believe, like, I've seen it over and over and over again. I've seen bands with predominantly white people being taken more seriously or seen as though they're because of their inclusion being more common or seeming more common in this space. More people are like, oh well, them making this music makes sense, I'm gonna listen to it. Versus like the amount, because I've got a label that I started and I focus primarily on like BIPOC alternative artists. That's like what I do. And the amount of work.
333 Records.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
The amount.
333 Crew Records.
Yeah. Okay. And the amount of work that we have to do, just to show somebody that we're not guests holding guitars, everything from like the homegirls in Nova Twins. Mm-hmm. We did stuff with Oxymorons. We're doing stuff with Garzi. We got currently, and then I got other people, Love Is Noise. I got all these with people of color in these groups. And when we're doing it, there's people side-eyeing the participants because they don't see them as much in the area. And what I want to do is open it up so that you see that this is not as uncommon. It's not as unusual as you think. There's Zulu, right?
Mm-hmm. Zulu, man.
Dude, there's Move from I think they're from Baltimore. They're bugging. Yeah, dude, flat spot, like the flat
End
spot.
it.
And you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
this is what I'm saying. Like, there's so many of us. And then, like, there's like Martine in Terror. There's,
of course.
There's,
Yeah.
and then there's Bad Brains, and there's Fishbone, and then you keep going back. There's fucking Death. There's so many of us then and now. And so when I found out that rock music as a whole really, its beginnings has, had black people involved.
Frankie Lyman and the Teenagers.
Yo, real talk, dude. Rocket 88. Like, come on, man. Like, let's get really real. Like, where you just become a little more aggressive, a little more intense. Like, that's the structure. So that's when I really realized it. And my mission, whether people fuck with it or not, is not really my concern anymore. Is to make a space for the kids that were like me. That, and I'm not even saying you don't even gotta be black at this point. This is just having like, you're trying to find yourself, so put yourself. And then for me I was where I'm from with the people I'm with, doing what I do already. It was like this sort of aberrant, strange, anomalous event. Just me existing in Inglewood doing the punk rock thing and skateboarding, right?
Being straight edge and fucking
Yeah,
skating.
totally, dude. They're like, what the fuck?
I know, right?
What is he on? Like, you know,
Is he okay?
You feel me? Yeah, don't even fuck with him.
Did you feel more of yourself
Oh
and
my
not
God.
accepted because the neighborhood you grew up with and because you weren't the typical person from the neighborhood, like you were skating your punk rock
Totally.
lived every. Did you feel more of the family unit in punk rock when you got in it? Or did you also feel racism in punk rock?
I love you for that. That's where I was going. I said, oh, there's this alternative world where everybody is living harmoniously and being weird is okay. Let me go over there. I go over there, and now me being the darkest person, me and my best friend, we are the two token black guys. Every black joke, every black, nomenclature, everything on TV. Oh, did you see the new Dave Chappelle skit? Yeah, motherfucker, I saw it.
Yeah,
Like,
I saw it.
Of course, I saw it. Like, do you like Richard Pryor? Like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like I get it, I do get it, but it does actually become burdensome as a person of color to have to onboard all that to almost live up to what you're expected to be in punk rock. You got to be black and a punk. You know, you can't just be a punk.
And you know,
Interesting.
to the like I said, it's just a lack of education. There's times where people think they just think you're outside of your culture. That's why they would ask you, "Oh, did you see the Dave
feel me?
Chappelle thing?" And
You
it's
feel
like,
me?
"Bitch, who do you think?"
Yeah, and also
you think I got a fucking TV? Like,
that's the monolith,
why
right?
wouldn't I watch him?
Yeah. And also, what if I didn't?
What if I didn't?
Am
Also,
I not black because I don't fucking
Yeah.
do this, that, the other?
Yeah.
It goes back to like people outside of the culture trying to tell you what it is to be black.
Yeah, man. There was this one time. Gosh, this is making me think of so much. It's cool. This conversation
I
is
love this
Yeah,
like
conversation,
amazing
dude.
because I don't get to talk to a lot of
Right.
cats like this because
Right.
there's not a lot of cats that
Right.
necessarily go through this. But I remember one time I was backstage. It was before I was going on at the Comedy Store.
Yeah.
And I remember I won't say the comic's name, but I was talking with comics, and they were just kind of asking my story because I was newer to the scene.
Right.
And they were like, "Oh man, I see you got the like what's good with that?" And and I just started giving just my history of me, and what I've dealt with and the things I've gone through, and I was expressing like the black culture and like people thinking I don't have the knowledge. And I remember this comic, she was like, "Ooh, I'm gonna get you black. You gonna come to this event?" And I was like, "What?" Like I was like, "Well, that's a strong thing that's a strong thing to just say." But I'm not gonna be disrespectful.
Right.
Like stoic.
Sure. Yeah.
So I get I got my shit intact. But it is interesting to hear that, and it's like, don't you think just me having this skin tone is?
You feel me? Look, and that's no real talk.
And I wanted to say that, but I was like, you know what? I don't know this person. I don't want to get into with this person. And I'm not angry.
Sure.
I'm 35.
Right.
I've been dealing with it since.
Right.
Not like I'm immune to this shit. But it was just interesting to hear someone, especially that has the same skin tone as me, to not understand like.
Right. I'm not putting this in a costume tonight.
Yeah,
like I didn't put this on to come do the show. Like
Did that fuck with your mentor? Maybe both of you, because me and Derek talk about it too. Him growing up in Cleveland, being punk rock, vegans, dreads, skateboarding, like from people where you grew up in your neighborhood or people your environments. Did you feel like you had to prove that you were black because you were punk and skateboard? Did you feel like you had to prove like,
I got
no, I
too
really
exhausted.
am?
I got too exhausted.
Right.
too
But
exhausted.
I'm saying, but did you put pressure on yourself, like question yourself, like
No, because I just went solo. I just became
Right.
Solo
I
on that
became
ass.
like a lone wolf.
right.
you went
right.
solo on that?
You know,
ass.
I just went solo on it.
Still the same.
I kind of just became like a lone wolf because I was just like, you know what? And
Become a real black sheep.
like it wasn't
Yo,
just
really?
exactly. It wasn't just white people that I was hearing things from. It wasn't just
Wow,
black people
wow.
that I was hearing things
That's
from.
what Derek said.
I was
Both
hearing it,
people.
I was hearing it
Wow.
from everybody. So it's like,
Wow.
oh well, I guess I just got this. You know what I mean? I got
A
Black
whole-
Flag makes me happy. They don't judge me.
Right.
You know what I'm
right.
saying? Like that, minor threat.
I'm
Like
not
that-
this enough. I'm not that enough.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just me.
And meanwhile I'm listening to lyrics where it's just expressing individuality.
Right.
Facts.
You know what I mean? Like
Right.
that's the music that I was listening to. And like one of my top favorite bands is Korn, because
You told me that, yeah.
Korn was the first time I ever heard someone talk about like what they were going through at home with their parents.
Wow.
And how
That's
abusive,
amazing, man.
how like the abuse
Yeah.
that, Jonathan Davis was going through. And I was like,
Wow.
fuck.
Wow.
And I
I
didn't
was
know
like,
that
this
he
is
told
me.
me because I
Yeah.
probably prejudged him as a punk hardcore kid, like, oh, this rap metal back then, and then I was like,
Man,
and then I don't know how deep the lyrics got, and then I meet you, and that it's amazing.
telling you,
man.
like I'm
Wow.
telling you,
You know what I mean?
Wow, yeah.
What Korn did for me, and what I got into them when I was in 5th grade.
Damn.
I mean,
Wow.
what they did for me was like magical. And like like anytime Korn is in town, I go see those motherfuckers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's like that's like you. I'm like, you spoke to me. You
Yeah.
spoke to that
That's
5th
incredible,
grader
actually.
Wow.
that
really
you didn't
is.
even know, but you spoke to this 5th grader who was being abused at home.
Wow.
By a crazy stepdad, and so that's someone that wasn't even biologically my dad.
Right.
And to hear them just scream that out. And
Wow.
and the thing with Korn, I was like, this is the sound that's in my
In your head.
This is the sound
That's
of
powerful.
my house.
Wow.
That's the sound. So like that's the thing
Wow.
with Korn matched the sound, like all the lyrics and the sound
that was
of
a
it.
soundtrack.
It matched what was going. Yeah, like you could play Korn while I'm going through what I'm going through with my stepdad.
Wow.
Like
Wow.
and it'll match that tone.
It's crazy that there's a
What a
world that
description.
knows that Chappelle Lacey exists and he's a comedian and this is your whole story. And then there's a Korn world that they might never meet you or know that you exist, and the power they had on your life is. So I think Jonathan Davis should fucking meet you some. I'll put that out in the fucking.
Facts.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
Put it
that'd
out,
be great.
I'll put it out
Yeah.
there, man. I'll fucking
I
DM him right now.
I'll probably
Yo,
freak
for
out
real.
if I met him.
I've written
That's beautiful.
I've written with Monkey
Oh wow.
Yeah,
and
shout out to
shit like
Monkey.
that. So I might have to holler at them. We toured with them a couple times.
Yeah. That's what I'm
did
saying.
this
The last
summer.
time I saw
Yeah.
you guys was with Korn.
Damn, I like that.
Yeah.
And so I want to get. I know we covered a lot of things, but I want to get to them because you did so much in music. But
Yeah.
the one thing you mentioned before is that you were like freestyling ciphers and shit.
Yeah.
In the younger days before even being in the band.
Yeah, like just before.
And what was your MC name too?
Dude, I was doing graffiti and shit. So it was just X3.
Hard.
3 X's.
Oh,
you know?
that's hard.
Yeah, so it's ECKS3.
I
So
like
that's what
that.
I was writing. And so that would be my
Sick.
shit. But yeah, no, I really like, and all my, again, I actually have to like.
This is one of my favorite combos. I just want to say I did almost 200 podcasts, and this
I
is.
love it.
Oh,
And I love
yeah.
like just meeting somebody for the really sitting down with them and getting there and just connecting. It's awesome. This
Dude,
is
I
great.
love it too. I'm so glad we're doing this.
So good. Okay, tell us about the rap life.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, my thing was, again, this out of step, if you will, out of step
Yeah.
existence, right? Like everywhere I went. And what I was saying earlier, like even when I got to punk rock, I got there and realized like it wasn't. There's still these barriers and constructs that bleed into even punk rock, right?
Which is sad.
It
to
is
me.
sad. It is sad. But then we get to have these conversations as
Yeah.
punk rockers and and be like, we can do better. And so I got to that and was like, you become the alternative kid in the alternative scene, and that's lonely. Like, when you feel that's really lonely. So I thought I was going to go in there and be like, I'm home. And I actually went there and was like, oh, I'm still weird here. Like,
Wow.
because I'm like trying to do like Boys to Men vocal runs in my punk band. I was in a punk band called Fubar when I was 14.
Fubar.
Yeah, fucked up beyond all recognition.
It's hard.
So it's me and my best friends, dude. Like my best friends from school. We literally were in his parents' garage. We were the band in high school. And we got to, then I started Letlive. That was like what that turned into Letlive. And
Like 2002, that right?
yes,
Okay,
yes.
okay.
So I'm still in high school, and all my other friends' bands from El Segundo, they were starting to meet people from Orange County, Bleeding Through, Throwdown, all those cats, and they got close, and they got to play shows with them. For Letlive, it was so fucking hard for anyone to give a fuck about us because I was like, no, look, there's this other culture inside of punk rock and hardcore that's kind of alternative. And that's when I found Glassjaw and shit and was like, love that.
Wow.
Like,
Nice.
love
Shout out to Glassjaw,
You know what I'm
Shout out-
saying? Like,
shout out to Glassjaw.
New York
Viral.
and shit. Yeah, dude. Like, and I was like, okay, cool. And then And that was me following my love for AFI, and and this is all after Minor Threat. So I kind of went like backward. I think nowadays people will start with like MGK and then go back. You know what I'm saying? Like they'll start with MGK and be like, that's punk, and go whoop, and then find their way backwards. I started with skate videos, punk rock.
Same.
You know what I'm saying? Minor Threat, fucking, and then I moved on to, and then I found Blink-182. You know what I'm saying? Like I went like that way.
Okay, yep.
So as I'm doing all that, I go and Letlive is just not getting love. Like we're locally popping because we're the only band, but once we leave our little city, nobody's really fucking with us because we're just too weird, and it's a really lonely space to be. But instead of bending, I just doubled, tripled, quadrupled down on what I knew was dope. So I stayed on my fucking freestyles. I was like still out at Project Blow. Shouts out to Project Blow, Lemert Park. You know what I'm saying? Like I'd be over there. I'd play in the daytime, boom, in the garage, and then we'd drive over to Lemert Park, Project Blow, and just freestyle, cypher, in the car, cypher, at a party, freestyle, cypher, battling people we don't even know. Like, hey, look at this fool, you know what I'm saying? Out here looking like a damn Seinfeld character, like just like whatever, like just going to Brentwood talking shit.
That's
but
so funny.
The reason I say all of that is to give love, flowers, praise, and thanks to my little friend group where we were actually misfits. We were actually fucking weirdos. Black, brown, Asian, mixed, white kids too. But we were the fucking alternative of the alternative. We were the weirdest everywhere we went. And eventually, because we spent middle school, 6th grade to 12th grade. By the time we was in 12th grade, we was on. We was next up because we made our little thing and couldn't nobody shake us. Nobody. Not to mention, some of us were pretty good with the hands. So it was like, it was like no one could fuck with us. Like no one could shake us. So I would pull up to school in an Echo, unlimited, big ass sweater, South Pole jeans with my crust vest over it.
Wow.
Low key, like,
sick.
And that's when I had like my hair was like, I had like a little mid fro, and I had gauged ears and shit. I got tattooed at 14. Like I was, dude. I mean, we were just the most out there you could be to all cultures, because again, like I said, we had everybody. And then we go home, our black mothers and fathers, our, Mexican or El Salvadorian at the time, our homies, their family, uncles, and, Asian parents, they'd all be like, what are you doing? And we'd eat it and, eat a little shit and then come back and be with each other at a show. And we had to fortify and create a force field and be with each other everywhere we went. Yeah. We didn't really pull up by ourselves. Yeah. We was always together. We go out to Corona Showcase Theater, Chain Reaction. And in the beginning, motherfuckers be like, oh, what is this? Like making fun of us and shit, trying us. By 12th grade, what, boy? You better watch your girl when we out here, you know what I'm saying? Like, we was really, we was on. So,
you guys have a name of your like crew or anything or no?
Yeah, actually it was called Dub CE. We control everything. So that was our thing. Like, but it all came from just understanding, like I said, what you do is dope. As long as you love it, it's dope. And it might not catch on at the beginning, or people might not get it, but even if you just got like 1-2 people that understand, even if you just have you, if you're listening to this and it's just you, I promise you, you are not alone. Like, send out the bat signal, whether that's on your Instagram, start a band, go do comedy, put up flyers around your neighborhood. We're globalized now. You can look on the internet and find others like you. I promise you, you are not alone. Like, when I was younger, we didn't have the internet like that, so it was dope to have some of my friends. But I promise you, you're not alone. Just send out that bat signal. The bat signal, like I said, could be anything, but you got to start it with, got to do what you do and know it's dope. So it all started with me, I would say, with like freestyling, because we would just talk our shit,
Yeah.
And
who was like an inspiration MC back then for you?
Back then when I was really on my shit, like, it all obviously started with NWA, Snoop, Pac, and Biggie. all started with that Exhibit too. Ooh, At the Speed of Light.
Oh,
what?
yo, Exhibit.
Paparazzi.
Hard. Yeah.
Paparazzi was on 411 Skate Video Skate Mag, the video magazine. That's actually how I found Exhibit, was through 411.
Wow.
That's crazy.
I love the Restless record too. All that.
Dude, yes.
He's got some hits.
Executioners
man.
and shit. Yeah, the Alcoholics and shit.
Alcoholics, yeah.
So, but when I was really getting it like that, it was Lewis Logic, another mixed brother he's from the East Coast. He was sponsored by Chapman Skateboards.
Oh wow,
dude, look, I gotta give a disclaimer. If people go back and listen to Lewis Logic now, I don't condone the shit he was saying. He was saying some crazy shit. He was saying some crazy shit. Like right now wouldn't fly, but he was nice with the mic. Like his metaphors, everything crazy. He couldn't say any of that shit now, but back then he was nice with the mic. Lewis Logic, Living Legends was huge.
Yeah.
Atmosphere, Slug. Merce, Brother Ali. Like I was on some like rap. You know what I'm saying? Like backpack rap.
Yeah.
Dead Prez.
All those dudes got bars.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Most Def, Talib.
Yeah.
Before Quality Control, Talib. Like, you know, it was Reflection of Eternal and shit.
Yeah.
Like,
Dead Prez on the vegan shit too, man.
yeah, bro. That's how, dude. That's
don't
how
eat no meat.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
They literally. They only smoke weed, right? They like don't drink or nothing, right? They don't smoke cigarettes. They're like about the earth, you know. And that to me, that's when I started. That. Thank you for bringing that up, Toby. That's when I got hit hard because
Be healthy.
Yes, my dad, my whole hood was like, what you mean you're not having chicken tonight? What you mean that ain't meat? What you mean you ain't having this sausage? What you mean you having these ribs? Like banging on me like, oh, you a bitch for not eating something. Like how fucking crazy.
It is crazy that people get hyped.
How
like,
deep does it go?
Yeah.
How deep does it go?
Once again, that's part of the manhood thing.
This
like
is what
being
I'm
tough.
This
Eat
is
the
what I'm
meat,
saying.
Drink
Eat
the
the
beer.
meat. You know what I'm
watch the
saying?
Sports.
Yeah.
You know
Like
what
all
I'm
this
saying?
shit.
That's what I'm saying. And they hit me with it. And then I found Dead Prez. You know what I'm saying? I don't eat no meat, no dairy, no sweets. You know what I'm saying? Like that was, I said, and these motherfuckers were hard. They were militant about they were like black all day. So I was like, you know what? Then I went back, same way with rock music. I went back and found out that the vegan diet is very much early on a black thing. Like, you know what I'm saying? There's Ethiopian, Jamaican, like there's like, it's actually, there's so many roots and derivation in black culture, original vegan shit, not before, you know what it was before we had Beyond and Impossible.
Yeah,
we had a motherfucking burger with vegetables.
The Boca burger.
Dude, you know what I'm saying?
Pucks and shit.
Yeah, bro, like where you was like, dreading, but I gotta eat tonight. You know what I'm saying? I gotta eat, like, fuck it.
Also, KRS-One, my philosophy. KRS-One was on the
Knowledge Reigns
vegetarian
Supreme. Hell yeah.
But a lot of people, people in the black culture are becoming like vegan, like Jadakiss,
Yes.
vegan,
Yes.
Styles P.
Yes, I think Jay-Z and Beyonce, shouts out to them.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Jermaine Dupri's been on for like that
Yeah,
25
Jermaine-
years.
Look, this is what I'm.
Will I Am.
Yes.
Oh yeah, Will I Am. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So
It's so cool to see that in hip hop.
Yes.
Especially artists that I looked up to.
I mean,
you
think
know
about
what I mean?
think about Jadakiss.
Jadakiss.
One of the greatest,
Like,
one of the greatest MCs of all time.
The same guy rapper. Yeah.
He's got the juice bars in Harlem and the Bronx, all that, man.
Bro, let me just say it right now. I'm not gonna give you all the name. Well, I'll give you all the name after this. I'm not gonna give you all the name because you're gonna take it. I gotta copyright this shit.
Yeah.
I want to start a company, or excuse me, company that's so capitalist. Look at me, I'm fucking up. I want to start a shop that focuses specifically on organic whole foods for the hood at accessible prices so that people can get it. This is again, this is how deep it goes, right? I remember growing up, I wasn't eating well, not because I didn't want to, it's because I didn't even know how to, and B, couldn't afford to do much else other than eat the McDonald's or the liquor store or the 99-cent store that was around the corner from my house. We have food deserts, bro.
Yeah.
Food deserts. That's what they're trying to kill us. You see that documentary before
Yes.
John Lewis?
Yes.
Shout out to Badass Vegan John Lewis. He did an incredible documentary. It was hard for him to get picked up because of the reality of the documentary. He pushed and tried that, ended up putting it on himself on his website.
Hard.
Totally DIY.
Hard.
Because nobody picked it up because it was a lot of reality to it.
That's what I'm saying though, right?
The food desert stuff, yeah.
Let's go back and just think, if they're stopping it from happening, there's a reason. Who's stopping it from happening? Look at
That's a good
who's
point,
you know what I'm
though.
saying? Just go back and look at who is stopping you from speaking your truth. Because isn't it kind of crazy to be like, that's what I believe, you know what I'm saying? And someone be like, you can't say that. Why? Why is it so threatening? So just a real quick tidbit on, like, again, systemic fucking the way these institutions work. Just follow the money. Just look at the trail to see who's trying to stop you from doing what you need to do or you feel like you need to do. Especially if you feel like it's for the betterment of more than just yourself, there's got to be a reason. So
Did you go to college?
No, I got into a okay.
He said I got in.
I got into one. I
You
was
just have so much knowledge, man. Like it's like
thank you. I just
wisdom too, man.
Dead Prez, self-education.
Okay, yeah.
They spoke
what I
on
think.
self-educating, you know?
Yeah.
I also, shouts out to Mr. Leith, my advanced placement American history teacher, 11th grade, who got fired for teaching alternative curriculum, which opened my eyes, taught me about OK Player, the OG OK Player websites, taught me about all the, subversive learnings and teachings that you can find out about what's really going on. He got fired from my high school because he was teaching the real American history.
Wow.
Got fired from my high school. So shouts out to him. He really opened my eyes in 11th grade to really teach myself and educate myself the way I have. So, but yeah, I didn't go to college. I got into a couple because by the end of college, like I said, I was like, fuck this. I was barely even like there.
Did you graduate though? High school?
I graduated. Yeah. Barely graduated and
what was
didn't
your
get to
goal?
walk.
Did you have any goals then?
Yeah, music.
Okay.
That was it.
Yeah.
Just to talk my shit, just to speak my truth, really. And the reason I got into college is because I got offered I was going to be offered 2 tennis scholarships. Yeah.
Tennis? You play tennis?
How's that for a fucking curveball? Yeah. I played tennis.
Wow.
But
awesome.
only
That's
really
amazing.
only because my dad told me I had to, right? That was one way me and my dad bonded was we go to Inglewood, we go to Bentonella Park, well, Centinela Park, but it was in the blood neighborhood, Bentonella Park. And we would play in these shot fucking tennis courts. Like,
So shot like us.
Yo, I'm saying, boy, it was shot. You know how the tennis, everybody close your eyes right now and picture this. Tennis court, fucking, the lines should be drawn. You don't know where anything is. You got leaves everywhere. You got bottles everywhere. You know how the potholes in the goddamn. Yeah. And you know how the tennis, the net is supposed to be tight and taut and, bro,
droopy.
This shit looked like some saggy old drawers, boy. Like in the middle, you could just walk over that bitch if you wanted to. So that's where I was learning how to play tennis with my dad.
Funny.
And he said to me, look, I'm gonna tell you this right now. My dad gave me a couple gems. I'm not gonna lie. He kicked some game down. And this is one of them. He said, look, what you got to do is you got to go to school. You got to get out. You got to do business. And most people in business are white. Most white people in business play golf or tennis. So you got to pick one. And he's like, I don't know how to play golf. so I said, cool. All right, let's play tennis. And
shout out Pops.
Yo, for real.
Wow.
And here's all, this is great. This is such a good conversation because we keep finding connections, right?
Yeah.
When we was talking about how the people are just doing what they can. Fathers, right? Fathers just doing what they can and because systemically they've been put in a position where this is all they can do or feel it's all they can do, right? That was my father's attempt to be like, look, I'm going to get you this piece of information that I know, that I've learned, right? And maybe when he's putting his hands on me too, maybe he was like, this is how I learned how to be disciplined because if you step out of line, my dad was, segregation. My dad's not young. My dad was drinking at, it was like post Jim Crow. Like he's drinking out of fountains the other side. What up? Hey, come here, man.
It's Max.
Come here. You are cool as hell, bro. Yeah, I just think you're so fucking cool.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, bro. I've seen you through your dad and stuff and just everything you do, your vibe, so cool.
Thank you.
Hell yeah, I just wanted to say
Max
that.
is waking up.
Yeah, I just did.
I love it.
All right, so we go back with saying.
So
hang out, Max.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like it's those moments where he was taught in an era where if he spoke out of line, that it could be the consequences were so dire.
Yeah.
A black man speaking out of line. So what he was taught and how he was taught was much more aggressive. It was much more hard line. So he's moving tough love. So he's boom. So now he's teaching me, especially again, a light-skinned boy who he's trying to like teach how to be, a black man in America for all intents and purposes, but also understand my privilege. So he's hitting me with both sides, right? He's like, look, you might get into some of these buildings I will never get into, so you're going to learn how to play tennis. And that's what I did. I played tennis and I did it.
Killed it.
I ain't gonna front. Like, I was pretty good. I was pretty good. I was out there, you know what I'm saying? There was like, you know, they did like little junior Olympics, like prospects and stuff, and they had me go out and try. I didn't go, but like, you know, so it was like to that level at the time. And
That's
honestly,
so cool.
But bro, even in that time, I'm like, you know, you get your outfit. I was on the team. I played tournament. I did satellite tournaments, but I also played for the high school. Westchester High, shouts out the Comets. Kendrick talks about it in Good Kid, Mad City.
Oh,
Yeah.
he does?
Yeah,
Oh, shit, that's
yeah.
dope.
Yeah, the light skinned girl playing in Westchester. I would have my CCS. That was a skateboard.
Yeah, that skateboard
Mail
magazine. Yep.
I have my CCS basketball shorts on, which you weren't allowed to wear. Red vegan Jeff Rowley Vans that we put out for skate, and I had a mid fro. And I would like dye my shit all crazy.
It's hard.
And I'd be pulling up to these tennis events, and this is going to the punk rock thing and your essence, bro, and getting looked at like a freak, like truly, like categorically. They're like, this motherfucker out there, and I would whoop they asses, like, and to me, what that was a way to really show the world that you can be anything while being anything.
Yep.
You can be white, black, Asian. You could be
Cheerleader.
Could be, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You could be anything. You could be afflicted with trauma. There's perhaps a disability from this place. And believing that you can do it is step one, because this world is trying to tell us we can't. I'm not trying to negate the fact that there's this, because I went all this whole whatever, how long we've been talking about the system trying to keep us down. I still believe that. But within ourselves, in a stoic manner, we do have control, or we need to believe we have control over how we see ourselves.
Yep.
Even if it's 30 seconds a day, even if it's 30 seconds a year, take that moment to look at who you really are, not what this world is telling you to be or perceives you as, but who you really are.
Well, it's like that. Back to that dude that said I was capping or whatever. I'm like, oh, he made me realize something. You know, he made me realize.
Wow.
You know, even though he was coming at it in a way that, like,
wow,
I know this dude, but like he made me realize, and validating my reason, like my reason for really understanding who I am.
Yep.
You know, like seeing that dude right there, I go, oh, that's funny.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's almost cute.
But that,
you know what I mean?
Yes.
But it just made me realize, like, oh, I got this. I know where I'm at.
But that goes, when you said, how did you become comfortable in my own skin? It was through adversity.
Yeah.
It was through my journey, through searching for my blackness while, being, at the time especially, I was very ethnically ambiguous. I could be like Persian, Puerto Rican, but especially I'd be casted in every show.
I know,
you know what I'm saying? They'd be like, I'll put him in whatever.
Yeah.
Put him in whatever, fucking The Mummy, put him in goddamn,
exactly.
Who knows?
Boys in the Hood.
Boys in the Hood, like whatever. Put him in fucking, what's that one? Brink.
Yeah.
You know
Brink,
what I'm saying? Like, but for me, it was being told who and what I wasn't that made me have to look inside and go, are they right?
These people give you those kind of lessons.
Are they right?
Yeah.
And you know what? And I always say this. I said this in Letlive a lot. I didn't know how bright I could shine until I was in the dark. I didn't know how, you know what I'm saying? I didn't know. I really didn't. I was like, I was in a quite particularly unique position too as a young person, because it was kind of it was a little cool to be mixed for a second, everyone in the hood made all them jokes about like the light skin eyes and like the hair. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? When like Mercury's in retrograde and all the light skins lose their powers and fall out the sky.
So funny.
No, so like I was there, so like there was that part of it where I was like, oh, okay, maybe this is accepted. When I was in the space where it was cool, but then I'd go out and I'd have like a girlfriend whose parents were white, and I remember one time they was like, oh, before I even went into the dish, was like, hey, you should show Jason how to use the fork and spoon for the spaghetti.
Wow.
I said, I've had spaghetti before. It was, you feel me? I was like, I'm like Chef Boyardee, but like spaghetti nonetheless. And then, and she's like, and my girlfriend looks at me, and in that moment, I remembered that like, I can't take this off. My culture, where I'm from, and at the time, especially especially against her skin. I looked like much more melanated than my girl. I can't really let go of that. Even if I wanted to, there's people that are going to remind me. So what I need to do is embrace that.
Yeah.
I need to embrace who I am.
Yeah.
On all facets. So that's like you said, the lessons that you get from people that are actually seemingly contrary to like what a lesson typically would be, right?
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. And I know this, especially in this woke world, you know what I'm saying? Loudwire, I'll say some shit on Loudwire and they'll be like, you can't say that.
Yeah.
You're Latin or whatever, you know what I'm saying? I'll be like, people trying to tell me
you
who I am and also my
are.
experience.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
That drives me crazy.
What? My
drives
experience
me crazy.
with the law, you know, my record in the state, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like what has happened to me, you know, all these different things, people trying to strip me of that, and black people included.
Yep.
So at some point you just have to be okay and understand that your truth is not subjective. This is your truth.
That's your truth.
It's what you've experienced.
Yeah.
So
I want to talk about skateboarding. Did you ever
Yeah.
try being a pro skater?
yeah, I really thought that.
I heard you got amazing skills as a skater.
Oh, yeah, I was pretty good. I
Only
guess.
street?
Yeah, I started because again, Inglewood didn't have a skate park, so we had to go to take trips to Oceanside, the YMCA. Shouts out the YMCA skate park. So we didn't really have anything like that. And what I realized is to skate competitions, you had to get good at parks because that's where they had all the competitions.
Yeah.
So I started doing park like around 14 or something.
Damn.
Yeah. But then there's kids, you know what I'm saying? Like my son, he just dropped in. I got a video I'll show you. He dropped in that Venice Bowl, the 6 foot at 5 years old.
Wow.
Yeah. So like,
Oh, shit.
so I'm at 14. I'm like way behind. So,
I know, right?
you know,
You're like, damn.
but you feel me? I was mad.
Yeah.
Look at that. I'm like, wanted to be proud. I'm like, you motherfucker. But
Did you want to go pro too or no?
I didn't want to go pro. I didn't really have any ambition for pro skating. I just wanted to get sponsored, which I got. You know, I got flowed from Adidas.
Nice.
There was a company called Millennium World Industries back in the day. They were in El Segundo, so I got boards from them. There was a little skate shop that the homies, you know, got me put on. District, shouts out District. HG Skate was the only skate shop. It was connected to a hardware store because it was the same family that owned it.
Oh, wow.
Called HG Skates
Mm-hmm.
on Sentinel and Inglewood. Shouts out to them.
That's cool.
But yeah, that was honestly, I always say this when people talk to me about my live show. The reason I do what I do is because of skateboarding. The way that I look at something and go, I can climb that. I could jump over that. I can make that a ramp. That's literally, when I look at architecture, I go, it's all because of skateboarding. Literally.
Yeah.
And then it goes even deeper. You looking at on like a cerebral level of how you had to take something that was not intended for you to do a crooked grind on or kickflip backside tail. You know what I'm saying? Like these stairs that were meant to be walked down, not
Yeah.
you know, saying frontside flip down. You have to then find a way to manipulate that obstacle into something that you can do with your skateboard.
Yeah.
It's true.
And that's like life, bro.
It's artistic.
It's
It is
Like,
total,
think about it. Like you
total
look at,
art.
like skateboarders look at like something like almost like a painting or
It's
like
a
a
piece
like
of
a
art.
building,
Yeah.
like a
It's
piece
a
of
piece
art.
of-
It's like,
what can they add to it?
I could do this to
Piece
this.
of art.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you go and create.
Dude, Day One song, Roddy
Oh
Mullen.
yeah.
You know, Day One
Yeah.
versus Rodney, round 1 and 2. Yeah, it was like,
OG.
dude, I'm saying, bro, like the way that they, shouts out to them because they was at Loyola Village, which is a school in Westchester for round 1, for that video, and I saw them filming that. I
wow.
Really?
saw them film. Day One used to kick me down. He'll never remember this, but he used to call me. He'd be like, dude, you got some skills, kid. And he would like kick me down boards. It was so fire. I'll never forget that. But I got to see them film Day One versus Roddy Mullen round 1 at that school, like most of it. You know what I'm saying? Like the picnic benches that he would go down that 7 stair. So he would do like nose blunt to, and then he pop and do like a backside blunt or front side. Front side down the bench that was flat to down. Like that was all at the school that I kickflip. The first kickflip down more than 3 stairs was 7 stair for me. It was that school. First rail I ever did was at that school. It was a 3 stair, so it didn't really count.
Yeah.
But all that, dude, and that's actually how I kind of got linked, and that's how I got to experience skateboarding beyond the videos and going, oh no, this is tangible now. You know, and they was pulling Day One at the time. I think he was pulling up in like a I don't know, like a cool. You know, he was into cars and shit, so he'd come in like a tricked out, I don't know, Civic or something. I don't really know what he had at the time, and I remember being like, oh, so you can like live like this? You can do this as a job? And so I just thought I'm going to keep doing this for a while. And then I broke both my ankles trying to film. I broke both my ankles, one, and then it healed. Boom. Went out to film the part again. Literally, it rained the day before. I was at Beverly High, that nice rail, and broke the other one.
Wow.
And that's when I started playing music for real.
Yeah.
Really grabbed my guitar
Yeah.
and was like, fuck it. I'm gonna just focus on this band shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know? So
Was your mom supportive and your pops about like you going to punk shows, you skating, you doing all this stuff that wasn't? Were they worried about you probably?
they really look.
They let you be free to be
Yeah,
out there.
they was dealing with their own shit.
Yeah.
You know, I kind of was on my own at that time. You know, I
Yeah.
moved out a little early and came back and moved out again. But yeah, I was kind of on my own shit at the time. My parents it was quite fractious in the house. My dad had been to jail a couple times. You know, during that just during high school alone.
Okay.
And then sometimes before that. So they was dealing with their own shit. And I always say this, and this is why I got my fucking bone to pick with capitalism. Shouts out Refused.
Shouts out to
Yeah. You
Yeah.
know, like my bone to pick with capitalism is I watched it foundationally destroy my family. I watched it. I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of other things, but at the root of it was struggling to pay bills, struggling to achieve something that we were told we had to financially, struggling to eat properly, struggling to keep the car running so we could get to the store, so we could get food and then bring it back, struggling to, you know, be a part of society as I even just hoping to be a middle-class family. I watched all these things that we were supposed to do and watching my parents work so fucking hard. This is why I know for a fact it doesn't always have to do with how hard you work. You got some day workers, people doing like manual labor out there working harder than fucking CFOs. You know what I'm saying? And COOs and look, low key, like if you want to talk about like hard work, CEOs. You got people out there building this community, city, state, country, and you have people that did build this country off their backs. And they are feeling generational curses, financial generational curses, because people are carved out of access and opportunities. You know, the GI Bill. You know, when black people was literally carved out of one of the largest wealth building opportunities in American history when they created the suburbs. You know, Levitt towns and such. You know, having a specific group of people cut out from that, and then for all intents and purposes plundered after literally helping build this country. I always find it quite funny when people say, "Well, just try harder," but you're starting 5 steps back. You know what I'm saying? If you're starting 5 steps back, what do you expect? So I watched my family work so hard and still not even get out of an apartment and never own anything.
Wow.
You know, and now I own a home with my wife and
Nice.
kids, and like it's crazy because part of me feels punk rock guilt and hood guilt. You know what I'm saying? Like part of me feels like, well, what about my homies? What about my friends? And sincerely, when I started Fever, I'm like, this is gonna be my ticket to give back to my friends and family first. And there's a part of that kind of I made missteps because of that, because I was so clouded. I wasn't stoic. I was so emotionally charged by what I was doing that I was allowing some people in my space to take from me because I thought that I owed them that because I'm here and that's what you got to do.
Yeah.
And so I dealt with a lot of that. I'm still dealing with it now. And I can be super honest. I haven't succeeded in the way that I can always disseminate or delineate, disambiguate who's there because they want to be on this ride with me and who's there because they need something for themselves. You know, you see it, right? You see like YG talks about it. You know what I'm saying? You see a lot of Jay-Z talks about it being like, you know, we bring the homies in just because we pay them a salary just because, but they're just trying to get theirs versus communally or collectively build this thing that we can all sustain on. They're just trying to get theirs then and there. And for some people, I can understand it because that's all you know. You don't know about financial literacy or stability. You don't know that you can have a sustainable chunk in a sustainable investment that gives you residual and passive income. You don't know. I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know.
Yeah, most people don't.
I didn't know a damn thing other than hustling. And then when I learned it, shouts out to my wife again, who really taught me, because she comes from a place where you could do that. Her family did that.
Yeah.
I didn't even know you could own homes till I was like 18. I didn't know that you could actually own a home. I thought everybody rented. I thought everybody rented till I was like 18. And it's like being able to realize that and see what is possible. You then have to peel off all that dirt and layers of being taught you couldn't.
Yeah.
So again, like
Feeling guilty for no reason, and you worked.
totally.
Yeah.
And the punk rock guilt.
Yeah.
And then damn, are they gonna call me a sellout like I called them a sellout? Are they gonna call me a sellout the way I called I'm not gonna name nobody, but the way I called that band a sellout because they was on the radio and they're not playing my fucking VFW hall no more.
Anymore.
Fuck
They're
that.
not mine
Because it's
anymore.
not mine no more. So
Yeah.
am I gonna? And then eventually, and this
So
is
true.
this is to all you young cats out there, doing it like the only way you're gonna bring the scene up for real, beyond clout, beyond just being able to say that this is ours, but in a sustainable, a tangible, and an effective way, is your success. Remaining alternative, but being successful in your own way, and then allowing people to access that same type of success. There's a big argument in a lot of like black leftist communities about black capitalists, right? Like Jay-Z, for example, where people be like, oh, well, he's no better than whoever, Bezos or whatever. And I take offense to that because I quite literally, I just signed to Rock Nation Management with Fever, and I see the philanthropy department in the building. I see the opportunities that he opens for black people to participate in these wealth building opportunities. I see it. I'm not saying, because I don't think anybody can do it perfectly, I'm not saying that these critiques are baseless, and I'm not saying that these critiques are, bullshit, but I am saying that we do. I just kind of back to your point, Toby, like if we can find a way to be compassionate and understand that this man came from Marcy Projects.
I know, man.
And you know what I'm saying? Like he's just doing his best.
A lot of these
I love JC.
CEOs and CFOs don't like.
Yep.
They ain't coming from Marcy
That's what I'm
Projects.
saying.
Shout out to you mean
Nepotism.
Jay Brown over there?
I'm about to apparently.
Shout out to Jay Brown. That's my dude.
Oh, dude. They telling me I'm gonna love Jay Brown.
He's
That's what they saying.
boss, man.
That's what they saying. Yeah,
he's
they.
been Jay-Z for a long time, man.
Yeah, I think
Rock
we're gonna fly to
Nation.
New York or something and do a little.
So cool, man.
Yeah, I'm hyped. I'm really hyped. It should
He was,
be
he was
cool.
a big supporter of Crossroads, man. He's always there.
That's fire.
Mhm.
That's fire.
That's
I'm
dope.
stoked.
He's with Jay-Z from like from the whole
See?
Oh,
Rock
wow.
Nation. Yeah,
That's what I'm
that
saying.
says a lot too. But yeah,
That's what I mean.
I love
That's
Jay-Z.
it.
I can't say anything bad about Jay-Z. His whole story, everything. I've been following him forever, dude.
Same.
I know. It's like, and he gives back so
That's-
much too.
That's
I
what
love
I'm just
how
thinking.
he doesn't answer any of entertain
You
any
feel
of
me?
the shit that like
You feel me?
when people are like running their mouths about them.
Because who knows? Because like you said, who actually knows what
actually
this
knows?
man is doing behind
Yeah.
closed doors with the $1 billion that him and Beyonce have amassed? Like, I get it, and I'm gonna be super, super, super real.
Look at a vegan catering company too.
See what I'm saying? Like, let's just like break it down. I know that a lot of my leftist friends hate this argument, right? Like the lesser of evils argument. But what if what if there isn't, like, what if we don't choose the lesser of the evil? What happens then? And my leftist friends will be like, well, you just completely reject all of it. And I'm like, I know, but I don't know if everyone's ready for that. I don't know if we're in our spiritual journey.
Killer Mike says that same shit.
Do you know what I mean?
That's beautiful.
Dude,
Mike's
do you know what I
ill,
mean?
man.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't know if we're all ready for that yet. I truly don't. And that's as a species. So, I think that a situation like a Jay-Z and Beyonce being billionaires, Rihanna being a billionaire, you know what I'm saying, whoever, I personally don't. I would never, and I mean this. I will never, even if I amassed all that, if I got all that money, I wouldn't be a billionaire, because I don't actually believe in being a billionaire, because I think that whether people know it or not, I believe that it's near impossible not to exploit someone or something, because to get that far ahead in a capitalist world, you have to exploit. There's a threshold of exploitation that needs to happen to get that much money banked.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? It's just how it works, right? But that all being said, if you're gonna be a billionaire, I think that what Jay-Z does, and what I'm seeing just early on in my relationship with Rock Nation, what I'm
Congrats,
seeing.
by the way. That's awesome.
Thank you, dude.
congrats, yeah.
Thanks, dude. I'm super
It's a big
excited about
deal,
it.
man, yeah.
I'm really excited about it. What I'm seeing them do is some of the best shit I've seen or heard on a real level, not just a tax break level, of using so much money.
Yeah.
So that's how I feel about it.
I didn't really, I knew about Nipsey Hussle, but it wasn't until Jay-Z bought like 1,000 copies of his
Yup.
$100 mix CD that he made that
Yup.
you kind of like put him out there. You know what I
Yes.
mean? And Nipsey Hussle's another one. Super sad story. He
Dude.
gave back to his community, vegan family.
R.I.P. Yep.
Like we bond on Nipsey Hussle, talk about
Yeah.
him, like
Yo.
all the time.
and trying
Oh,
to stay
I love
where he
it.
was and
Love
get
it.
back into community and all that. That was fuck, man.
Yeah. So he was affiliated
Brutal.
with Chico.
So the interesting thing, bringing up the Jay-Z, like the billionaire stuff, like, okay, and I don't know Jeff Bezos' story, but I'm gonna just use Bezos
Sure.
as an example, okay?
Sure.
So, knowing Jay-Z, like Jay-Z, like when you said the 20 steps back,
Right.
Jay-Z's a billionaire, but
Right.
I don't know Jeff Bezos' story. Like I said, I'm just using it as an example.
Sure.
like,
Sure.
But like, I don't know Jeff Bezos. I don't know his come up, but what if Jeff Bezos had that? He had the 20 steps ahead.
Yep.
But Jay-Z coming
Yep.
from Marcy Projects
Yep.
had the 20 steps back.
Yep.
So looking
Facts.
at Jay-Z become a billionaire,
Yep.
That's
I'm saying.
coming from 20 steps
I'm
back
saying.
of a guy like Jeff Bezos,
An admitted drug dealer.
an
Yeah.
admitted drug dealer.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So
absolutely.
And almost
Like-
caught a case too. Yeah, I remember that.
almost
yeah.
caught
Yeah.
a case and all that stuff. Like you got to look at that kind of stuff
Look.
and like see the difference in
Yes.
that. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
dude.
I guess that if that made any sense.
No, it makes perfect sense. And that's what I mean. Objectively speaking, put it on paper. Just put it on paper. That's all I'm saying. Put it on paper. You will see that if you take everything aside, everything, you take the possibility of trauma, the possibility of the systemic injustice or imbalance that he may have faced, all these things. If you just look at where he came from, and the factual limited access to wealth building opportunities that Jay-Z had versus, let's for the sake of argument, Jeff Bezos
Yeah.
or Elon Musk. Let's just bring him up.
Or the kid from Facebook.
Yeah. Mark Zuckerberg.
There
Let's
we
bring
go.
them up because we know they didn't deal drugs. We know they weren't at the projects. We know these
Yeah.
people weren't.
He went to Harvard, right?
You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's like when you just put it on paper, for you to deny the exceptionalism that it required, or at least like the wherewithal and the smarts, if you to deny that a Jay-Z of that, I think that's something deeper. I think that's something in you that you don't want to admit, whether that be sustaining a systemic imbalance because it benefits you, because it offers you privilege, or you just don't want to believe that someone worked that hard because you wouldn't, or whatever it is. I believe it says something more. And two, again, when I'm talking about like the black leftist community, specifically like black communists, not to get like too deep, but like I observe these spaces, and I'm not saying that they're, again, like I said, I'm not negating their critiques. I understand them. I do. I sincerely do.
Naturally.
On an objective level, I do understand it. But what I'm trying to say is, as somebody from the area, similar to Jay-Z's area in enough ways, I know how difficult it is to just make it out and have money to show when you get out of there.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
So, looks like I mean, do you think because of always being the misfit and outsider, that's helped you be able to step outside of all things and look at them like from a true outsider's perspective? Because a lot of people can especially with something that they agree with, to look at something that they agree with and kind of step outside of it. And kind of step outside of it, and also critique that in a way.
Certainly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, not. And I'm saying, like, because some people just go so hard and like, this is it.
Right.
But like, not
Right.
a lot of people know how to step out something that they believe.
Yeah.
And go, well, let me. I just got a few questions.
Totally.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
Instead of, do you think that's because of being an
nailed
outsider and a misfit in a misfit?
Yep, you nailed it.
Right?
That's literally
Okay.
like quite literally at the nexus of who I am when I castigate my own beliefs.
Yeah.
At the nexus of who I am is the ultimate misfit.
Yeah.
And living ambiguously in a way where I was this wild kid from the hood, like I said, had homies that banged, also had homies that skateboarded,
Yeah.
and
moshed.
also and moshed.
Mosh.
You know what I'm saying? But I played tennis. I was in a band, but I played tennis, and
So cool.
I freestyled. And then I had like my girlfriend was cool, like what is the word I'm saying? Traditionally cool. She was cool in high school.
Yeah.
She was but I was like my best friends. I'm not even making this up for the sake of story. This isn't hyperbole. My best friends were what everyone considered weirdos. Those were my best friends.
Yeah.
So I was in this really, again, this sort of fluid position where I was faced with, some privilege, and I was also faced with a lot of adversity, and faced with confusion, and then faced with clarity. And my whole life has been guided by taking a moment to step out of myself and understand what this decision and what this environment may result in. Like, it has to be, because again, understanding my, what I do and the steps that I take as a mixed race person could affect my goal or mission negatively, depending on how I'm perceived. So if I go into this situation and they be like, this dude looking like, whoever, I don't even, Michael Jackson after the surgery, talk about black power, you know what I'm saying? Like, they might look at me crazy.
Yeah.
X-Clan.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. They'd be like, oh, so what does he know? I had that. I actually have a moment where I was at this is after Mike Brown. I was back in Lamert Park. I was at a protest. And I had one of this brother was like, what you know about struggle? And I looked at him and I went, I could take this moment and really explain to you my experience, again, legally, my experience with the police breaking into my house, having to sneak my dad out the window, with gangbanging on my street, with not, when I was younger, being clearly not white. Clearly. I could do that, or I could just go, I know why you feel that way. I know why you are assuming that I'm just here for the ride, to post it on my Instagram and with my white friends with the tan.
That's the better conversation.
You know what I'm saying?
You know
I
what I
can
mean?
understand why.
Yeah.
I can understand why.
To be able to understand.
Totally.
I remember one time, one of the craziest things happened to me. So I used to be a cheerleader. I did cheerleading for like 12 years.
I saw that on your Instagram.
Competitive, yeah.
Woo!
And so I was teaching this cheer camp in Chicago, in like the hood. Right?
You can still backflip, huh?
Yeah.
Sheesh.
So can you though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, barely now. I'm doing like flips onto my back just cause.
Yeah. But I remember that I was in Chicago and I was teaching the camp, and because there was a lot of black kids, so they used a lot of like black instructors for this cheer camp, and I was we were getting lunch, and I remember I was with a few black people that I didn't know them too well, but they were like from Atlanta and shit, and they were like, you don't like black people, huh? And I was like, excuse me?
Whoa.
I was like, why? I was like, what gives you that idea? Like, you just standoffish to us. I go, I'm just a quiet guy.
Right,
You know what I mean? Because
right.
in the sense of like, if I don't know people too well, I can be a bit introverted, but also like I'm not trying to be standoffish or like, I smile. I'm constantly smiling.
Right.
But they took offense, and then later on, I want to say, one of the instructors, I had to give a ride to the airport after the camp was over, and we're in the car, and we're sitting there talking, and she was one of the ones that said I didn't like black people.
Yeah.
And then she just started asking me questions, and then she goes, "I'm so sorry."
Wow.
She goes, I'm so sorry. She goes, I can't believe I said those words to you earlier. And because she was like, I just came in so strong and just assumed that you came from this good life and all this stuff. And, and I was like, I said, I get it. I was like, I completely understand it. You know, there's a, I don't know. I feel like that's the conversation.
Yeah.
That's the way you have that conversation. Because I could have easily been like, yo, fuck you.
No, straight up.
You
Straight
know
up.
Like, you
Straight
don't
up.
fucking know me.
Straight up.
How you gonna say that? You don't know who the fuck. But I could say that. I could say that. But you know, stoicism. You bring it down.
And a comfort with yourself.
And a comfort with myself because I know how, what.
Right.
I hate black people.
But that's where I came from on both sides. Right. I'm literally like mopping up dudes for using the N-word, like white dudes from my school, like just going hands. But also, you know, after brothers in the hood trying me for so long, it was like, this is how I can prove to you I'm also hard. I'm a part of this part of the culture.
Yeah.
I'm a beat your ass. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, for real. And that was me being like, you know, I didn't even grow to like 5'10", 5'11" till I was in high school, like late high school.
Yeah.
I was not big. So like the manhood thing, the blackness thing, but also me just again being a complete misfit. I felt I was misidentifying my sadness with anger and utilizing that as a card to go, you need to respect me and this part of me. And I just came to this realization, even when I was fighting, whether I was fighting white people or black people over this, I was fighting for my blackness. Either way, it didn't switch up. It was going, hey, you can't say that around me just because I'm light-skinned. And hey, you can't say that to me just because I'm light-skinned.
Fighting for it, yeah.
So I'm constantly fighting for it. And now, and then I had to go back and realize why. And just like you, right? Now I'm able to go, okay, I can see where you're coming from on that one.
I can see where you're coming from.
I can see now. I'm not gonna yell at you. I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
I see where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Jon Stewart just did that with the Dave Chappelle monologue in SNL. He spoke, you know, I guess on behalf of the Jewish community, and was like, basically, people, if you're curious, Dave Chappelle did that opening skit. In SNL.
Incredible,
and he really went for it, right? He really, with the knowledge, knowing what he was stepping into, which I think he does best. He walks into it and tries to explain his side as well as what is the word I'm looking for? Appreciating and understanding and also monitoring other sides, right?
Yeah.
In his own sense. And Jon Stewart was like, look, if we can't come to the table and discuss, because there was pieces, I don't want to like misquote him, but he said basically there was elements of truth in what Dave Chappelle said in that one and what other people say in jokes, in comedy. And if we can't come to the table and talk about the elements of truth, then we're never going to get anywhere, right? Mm-hmm. If we can't,
that's a great point.
You know, and understanding, of course, like understanding there's context to everything, contextual understanding of everything, of course. But I do think that there's a space at some point where we're going to have to be able to sit down and talk to somebody who might be diametric to us. And I don't think it's going to start in government. Let me just keep it super real. It's not going to be in government. It's going to be like you at the coffee shop in Modesto in California. You know what I'm saying? And someone walks up to you and looks at you crazy, and you go, I can see how you would think that. Would you like to know why I look like this? Yeah. Would you like to know why I'm here?
That's the best. I'm telling you, that's the best part.
You know what I'm saying?
I've been in some of my favorite conversations.
This is what I'm saying. And again, like I sort of ebb and flow and fluctuate through, you know, moments of militance and moment, you know, where I'm like, no, there's a hard line here, but ultimately nothing other than death is finite, right? Or excuse me, nothing other than death is certain, right?
Facts.
It's like, so I don't really know if everything I say right now, the same way we can sit here and critique Engels or Marx or, you know, like we can do that.
We can do it
as people. As a communist, you can be like, okay, well, that was kind of wild. Like back then, you know, they believe this, but the root of the theory is it stands. It holds water. It holds weight. I believe that we need to remember that in 20, 50, 100 years from now, we're going to be like, damn, I can't believe I said, or they'll look back at us and be like, woo, you remember when the activists used to say this and do this?
And it will.
Oh,
and I'll tell you, and I'll tell you why it will. Because think back as far as like, we'll even go back to the kings and queens era. Yep. And the way they would just slaughter people for the most simple shit. Like if you didn't make me laugh, I can kill you.
It's a rap.
It's a rap.
Yeah.
And we look in our society today, we look at that like, what?
Yo,
like
real talk.
And so, of course it will happen. Of course, like 100 years from now,
Dude.
people will be like, damn, they were doing that?
Dude, even on some radical shit, let's talk about Malcolm X. Like, the curiosity in his passing is who did it? You know what I'm saying? Like, and who plotted it? Who pushed? Was it? And him sort of removing himself, from Nation of Islam, even Martin Luther King. If you read a book called "I Might Not Get There with You," it actually humanizes, and there was a huge backlash from a lot of the Black community, particularly the Black academic community, with this book, because the author, I believe it was Eric Dyson Jr., I believe, he said he was explaining the indiscretion, the human qualities of Martin Luther King, right? We deified him. And and rightfully so, right? This man changed the world in so many ways, but he was also a person with issues, a person who, may have not necessarily technically been a doctor, may have not may have had some, there may be some infidelity. Like that, to me, it didn't make me go, oh, he's no longer perfect. I don't believe in what he said. It goes, he wasn't perfect, and it makes me believe more that I can do that too, because I'm not perfect.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I can be great even with my imperfections. And so I think that, I think it's coming to terms with these things and understanding ourselves as whole beings, and whole beings being our imperfections, being our missteps, being our misunderstanding of ourselves and of each other. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to name names, but there's like bands out there that were upset with me when I started Fever because of some of the utilization of certain radical language, and assuming that, I wasn't doing my part when it came to, if money came in, and didn't understand that, 33% of all net profits are going to select charities, and didn't know that I had a 501c3 branded fund, and, they just saw me saying this thing and seeing that Travis Barker and John Feldman were involved, and they was like, well, this has got to be cap. This can't be real. Like, he can't really be trying to revolutionize nothing with these people involved, and didn't ask me. Didn't ask me what I was
doing.
Look all the shit Zach De La Rocha did with this band, on a massive scale.
You know what I'm saying?
Who came from hardcore, Inside Out.
Inside Out, baby, yeah.
And all the stuff
Shout
they
out
talk
to
and
Inside
sang
Out.
about in the
spiritual
mainstream, and inspired so many people to pay attention to what's going on in the government and everything.
That's what I'm saying.
And they were big too, and they still keep it 100.
And they came back. Look, they came
know.
back. All these people being like, he left because of this and that. And look, he did. Look, low key, I got to keep it super real. I got to keep it super real. Motherfuckers be like, hey, man, I bet Zach would love you. And I keep it so real. I'm like, no, he would not. And let me tell you why.
You remind me of him, though. I'm going to say that your music,
that.
too, and watching footage you in the sound, too.
I appreciate that. I appreciate it. I'm, and again, this is my self-critique, right? I'm like, look, this is such a good conversation. For everybody, give you all some insight. The moment I walked in, before we turned these mics on, I was talking to the boys about, just sort of rebranding this project and putting it in more spaces where, more radical thought can be encouraged, more radically leaning people can be involved, more people of color can be involved. Rebranding, opening up, switching it up, because we've been placed in a spot where I think that most people from afar would look and be like, oh, that ain't me. Like, that ain't me. Even though the things we're talking about, the project itself really does speak to, people like myself who are like y'all, who came up on a lot of radically directed learning and education, and, people from the hood and people from but because of where we've been placed or what we're surrounded with environmentally, musically, sometimes people are like, oh no, they're on a festival with, I'm not going to say it, but you're on this rock festival.
Yeah.
They can't really like Tupac, or they can't really like,
Yeah.
Lil Uzi or whatever. So because of that same reason, I think to myself, I'm like, I feel like Zach De La Rocha would be like, nah. Like, yeah, he'd be like, nah, because of this, that, and that. And look, I truthfully can understand it, but I can guarantee if him and I were to get down and just sit and talk, you know,
Totally.
the perception of each other might be a little. Well, I love him, but his perception of me would be different. But also, I think it's good for people to have that self-awareness too, so that perhaps if you need to position yourself in a way where you want to be seen as the person you see yourself as.
Yes.
Sometimes it is good to understand how people you look up to may perceive you. Cornel West had critiques about Ta-Nehisi Coates, and these are two of my favorite black academics, you know, social critics, everything. And seeing them not align really made me comfortable with thinking that Zach may not fuck with Fever. And I understand why, you know, and really understand why. So, I mean, I think that's a lesson in life, a life lesson that we can on board and be okay. I'm okay with that because I know where I stand and I know what I do and I know how I involve myself in local politics, and I know how I still have the charities, and I know how I still go back to my little youth and government program, mock legislature and court. Shouts out Westchester delegation. Go back and do what I can to equip these kids to fight the fight that I know we have to on a systemic level. I know I'm doing that. Even if people want to, I know I talked to Emory Douglas, you know, via Vic Mensa. Shouts out Vic. Thank you for this. Getting me in touch with Emory Douglas, talking about the man who aestheticized the Black Panther Party for self-defense, about using the Black Cat logo, full body cat that we have on our merch for this project, going, are you okay with this? And here's why I want to do it. He said, as long as you do it for this, brother, then that is part of the fight. That is why we did it. You can take that. You can have your own iteration of it. Wow. No one's going to ask me that. No, they're just going to be like, man, look at this fool out here with like a fake Black Panther looking motherfucker. Like, you know what I'm saying? Trying to brand it. But in reality, it's my way of honoring and carrying that over, because anybody that pulls up to the Fever website, immediately you hit, or well, they changed it now because of all the shows we had to reschedule. But before, you'd pull up and immediately you're hit with the an opportunity to donate to these charities, these branded funds. Every merch piece, every ticket you bought, that went to a local charity in the city we were in. I would align us with charities, and we would do donations through every ticket. So I made it as easy as possible, because charity and revolution can seem very abstract because they want it to, right? They don't want people knowing that you could just one day open up a book and want to rage against the machine. They don't want you to know that. So what I'm trying to do in this world, in a modern world, in a technologically driven world, is that all you have to do is buy a piece of merch. All you have to do is buy a ticket. And if you want to go further, you can go and click that link and give more money to this charity or that charity.
Yeah.
But I'm really trying to make it just as easy as possible for people to be a part of of change. You know,
yeah.
And that's my way of doing it. So.
I love this conversation, because like I had a list of like all the bands you've been in, Pressure Cracks, Fever 3, Letlive, all the records you put out. But people can listen to that and Google that. But this conversation is incredible, because we're talking about getting real deep about just life and just everything, man.
Yeah.
And people get to hear the person behind all this music.
Yeah.
Even if you know your lyrics and know what you're about, this is like, fuck, man. You know what I'm saying?
I know,
you
yeah. I know exactly
what about Gentlemen in Real Life? You still have that
Ooh,
girl
man.
brand?
Yeah. See, that again, that was, I don't, I have the LLC because I use the DBA, but actually that very thing, goes back to, this was meant, we were supposed to have this conversation when you were talking about this, like the idea of being a man and manhood and all these things.
Yeah.
But the illusion of manhood, at least, that's what Gentlemen in Real Life, aside from, we were doing everything locally, using local artists and makers, and everything was made in the U.S. and trying to support local, all those things. All that aside, all those ethics aside, was also trying to use the acronym that GIRL. So Gentlemen in Real Life acronymically reads GIRL, which to me means that there's a level of sensitivity, a level of self-care that we as men are told we can't have because it's not manly. It's not manly to put beard oil in, and it's not manly to have to moisturize the
Mani
skin.
Petty.
You know what I'm saying? It's not it's not manly.
Mani Petty's
You
hard,
feel me?
bro.
Let's go. What? It's like, in all these ideas of what it means to be a man. So I wanted to use this acronym to sort of speak to the fact that it is manly. And I don't even hate saying that. But it is okay for a man to take care of himself.
Yeah.
It's okay for everyone, but in this world, they're carving it out to where like you're seen as softer, and then if you're softer, then you're vulnerable. If you're vulnerable, you're a target.
You're weak.
You're
a
weak.
pussy and all these things.
So yeah, that was just an effort in that way, and I think it went pretty well. It was just like for me, I have another thing that I want to try to do that now it would evolve and again hopefully offer jobs to my friends and more people. And hopefully, kind of speak to this new era that I'm in with like Fever and everything. So
Yeah.
I'll release that soon.
So, what's on the horizon for Fever right now? I know I saw a show we might be playing together in Europe. But I
Yeah.
can't tell right now. Like, it's a 3-day fest. Like, who's really gonna play what day? But it'd be so sick to play with you guys. But
Hell yeah.
what do you have? What do you have coming up?
Dude, honestly, I have a complete, like, it's a whole transformation.
Okay.
Like I started this project. I told the story on my Instagram recently. Travis Barker pulled up to
At
me.
the Air One.
Dude, at Air One, straight up. I'm singing these.
What year?
Dude, 2016.
Okay.
2000. No. It's 2017.
Was this while you were in Letlive or after?
It was while I was in Letlive, but it was
Okay.
like the end of Letlive. Like it was just falling apart for various reasons.
Okay.
And so he pulls up to me, and because of Atiana, his daughter, one
Yeah.
of his daughters, she told him about me, and because she had seen me, because she knew Letlive in
That's
the store.
so crazy, man.
Isn't that wild?
I was just friends with her too. Yeah, that's really cool.
So like
Wow.
he pulls up. At least that's the story I heard.
Yo, Max, come here. That's crazy.
It's crazy,
man.
huh? So he pulls
Wow.
up and he's like, what are you doing? Basically, what are you doing? I'm like, oh well, I'm selling cookies. He's like,
Atiana told Travis about him,
Oh, really?
and he was
Yeah.
working at Ear One when Travis ran into him,
dude,
and
and
she was a fan.
No way.
It-
Which Air One?
the one in Calabasas.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a good Air One.
And what's crazy, isn't it? And what's crazy about that is this is how like how far from this situation I should have been, or seemingly should have been. I was actually working for my family friend's company, demoing these vegan gluten-free version.
So you were in
these-
there like promoting
Demo
that.
guy.
Okay,
I was
okay.
the demo guy.
All right.
I'm the guy that motherfuckers be like, please stop offering me shit to.
Yeah.
Like that was me.
Seriously.
You know what I'm saying? That was me. So I was doing that, and Ati came, and she was like, aren't you in Letlive? And I was like, yeah. She's like, what are you guys doing? I was like, well, I'm about to have a kid, so I've just had to get this job because Letlive's not really doing anything right now. And she was like, wow. And she said, we talked for a minute, and then she bounces, and then Trav pulls up, like 45 minutes later or something, an hour later or something. And he was like, what are you doing? And I was like, hi. And just pretend like I don't know
Ear
who
One,
he
like
is.
selling a product at Ear One, like some vegan gluten-free cookies.
Yeah, demoing the products,
Wow.
like just trying to get people to like this cookie. Like
You remember the company?
Deluscious.
Okay,
and
cool.
that, like, I shout out Deluscious, and V-Luscious is the vegan arm of the company, and
Okay.
it's amazing. You know what, dude? We'll do this again, or I'll just come over and
Yeah.
bring you some.
Okay,
They're
bet.
amazing.
Okay.
Amazing. So I'm doing that. He pulls up. I pretend like I don't even know who this man is. Come on now, stop playing. He comes up, and I'm like, hi. He goes, hey, and I grab a, dude, I had these, like, those little, like, things that they put, like, little pills in. Those little cup things that are like this big, or like a shot, tiny. I had like a little cookie cut out in it. I said, would you like a cookie? This man says no. I said, strike one. I was like, all right. He goes, no. But what are you doing? You're in a band. I was like, yeah. And he's like, oh, well, saw videos, blah, blah, blah. I was like, oh, word. Yeah, dude. And he's like, do you know John Feldman? I was like, yeah, I know John Feldman. He actually has been quite good to me throughout my little career. He was like, oh, well, and then he kind of stops. He goes, you'll like totally understand this moment. He stops, he looks, he goes, hey, wait, do you know what an E3? This is so Travis. This is what I love about this fool. He goes, have you had an E3 live shot? I said, what? He goes, have you had an E3 live shot? I'm like, nah, like, I don't know what the fuck. Boy, I'm in like a fucking Passat wagon that I bought for $1,500 because I was having a kid. Like, my shit broke down like 3 weeks later. I was like, I don't buy these shots. They're too expensive. And he goes, hold on. And he goes and he gives me E3 live shot, right? I can't make this up.
That's
like, I can't
amazing.
boom, hits me with the E3 live shot. I'm holding it. He goes, wait, you got to get like a chaser. All right. Again, this is when I knew Travis had it. You know, he was nice with the financials, but I was like, oh, this man balling.
Right.
He go, hold on. I think he's going to get like an apple or an orange, you know, a little chaser, a little fruit chaser you get. This man came back with a damn smoothie. He brought me a smoothie that was like $20, $18 after my
one price.
The Air One price.
You feel me? He came back with that as a chaser. And I said, oh, it's like that, Travis Barker.
Yeah.
I said, okay. So I'm thinking, okay, maybe he fucks with me. Like, maybe he fucks with me. Cool. So then do that, and we start talking. He goes, yo, well, we should get up. And I was like, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Thinking to myself, like, this man is doing so much. Like, maybe he's just hype right now, and he just, you know, I didn't really think anything was going to happen. And then, so we, you know, he daps me up. He says, all right, well, I'll call John. I was like, all right, for sure. Yeah, cool. And as he's leaving, he's like at the Erewhon bar thing, whatever. And he's like showing somebody a video on his phone. And he leaves. And then when he leaves, the Erewhon bar, 2 people come up to me and say, are you in a band? I said, oh yeah. Like, what? They said, do you know that Travis, he literally said, do you know that Travis Barker, like likes your band or something? I was like, what do you mean? They go, he just came and like showed us videos of you.
That's crazy.
Isn't that crazy?
That's so
Fucking
crazy.
amazing,
Bro,
dude.
so I'm just saying all that to say this.
Shout out to Travis.
Shouts
man.
out to
Fucking
Trav
real
for
one.
real. Shouts out to Trav. Like, I was down bad, bro. Like, my band at the time, like, I was really, really immersing myself in a lot of the, you know, the political side, socio-political side of it. I mean, Letlive had always been that, but I was like involving myself in it more radically. And so it was kind of like, you know, we were kind of not seeing eye to eye on some things, and artistically and politically, whatever. And so I was in a position where I thought that it was kind of falling apart, and I was having a kid. I had nothing. I had no money. I just come back from a tour. You'll feel this. I came back from a 6-week tour, my nigga, with $500.
Wow.
Low key. Everyone's like, Letlive was got. No, dude. I came back with $500. Wasn't a headline tour, so I'll give that caveat. But $500 after 6 weeks in Europe,
that's
bro.
brutal.
In
Solid.
Europe. So I'm like, nah, this is crazy. So Trav really did. Trav and John Feldman really grabbed me at a time and pulled me up and helped me start this project. So I get into like this. We're sitting down in John's dining area. And him and Travis go, what do you want to do? And I said, and I took a risk. You know, I think I said it to these 2 people. I said, I want to do black punk rock. Just straight up. I want to do black punk rock. And they was like, kind of like, it was quiet for a second. And then they both go, all right, like, cool. And what does that look like? I'm like, well, it's like, I love hip hop. I love rap music. I think that there's no better time than right now for the intersection of real rap music and real punk rock to meet. And for people, you know, we seeing Travis Scott in an Exodus t-shirt. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're seeing Playboy Cardi, you know, with a stage dive.
Cardi the Creator too.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That was like the cover of their albums and shit. So I'm like, this is the moment, but how do we open the bridge again, specifically for BIPOC, black and POC people to come from their side of things to come over here to rock music? Because we got plenty of white faces at a Kanye show. We got plenty of white people at a goddamn Drake show. But what about black people? And I'm talking about black people from everywhere. Black people from the middle class, upper class, from the hood, coming over to rock music for real, being at the shows. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And shouts out to Turnstile real quick for
I was
making that
literally
space
just gonna
like
say that when I went the first time I saw them
Talk
live.
about every
I
single
was
episode, no matter
yo,
what.
yes.
Shouts out to
first time I
Turnstile,
saw
I got
them
it.
live when we went to see him at the Novo or whatever.
I got
Nova.
it.
That I was like, I see what they're doing.
You know what I'm saying?
I saw.
It was
all
like
of,
it was
I
like a
I
cultural
see it.
collision. I love it. So all that. So I told that to
Everybody.
them. You know what I'm saying? I told that to them. And they were like, "Yeah, all right, cool. Like, let's do that. Like, let's do it." And we got to it and we hit it, and immediately we was like, this is it. And so it all started with me, Travis, and John Feldman, and then I called the homies to tour, and we started touring and shit. And then as of recent, like, they're not with me anymore on like the live side of things. But to anybody listening that knows Fever, that's curious, to answer your question after all this shit, Toby, answer your question is, Fever is, for me, I want it to be like an autonomous, standalone entity as a project where people can go and participate and can glean, some inspiration from, some ideology from, some art from, and adopt that themselves. And despite whether it's me or 2 people or 4 people or 10 people, whoever's involved, I want this thing to be an essence in and of itself. So that's really what I'm working on right now, is Fever as a culture moving forward. That's what I'm working on in 2023, is just really making this like a cultural entity that survives no matter what or who's involved, as long as the people are involved. So
I love that, man.
yeah.
So you have new stuff coming out?
Yeah. Oh, bro, I'm going to say it right now. I'm going to say it publicly on yours. You get the exclusive. I was just working with Dim Joints. He's part of Aftermath. Dre's, he's a Dr. Dre producer.
Wow.
So I got to, I'm doing that. I've been working on a bunch of stuff with my homies, some real West Coast gangster rock shit. Like I'm talking, Voyagers, Prophets, woo, and guitars, rapping, yelling, singing, kick on the 1, snare on the 3.
Amazing, man.
I'm really trying to create a genre that I just haven't heard yet, even if it's just a feeling,
Yeah.
So that's what I'm on.
I love that, man.
Yeah, I think I really think you'll get it. I really think you'll get
I'm
it.
excited to hear it.
Yeah, dude.
Well, fuck, man.
This was beautiful.
Yes,
man.
Great.
we did it.
I was going to ask you
we
to
did
consider
it.
yourself an optimist or pessimist, but you seem super positive,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, 100%. I have to be.
Yeah.
I have to be. Otherwise I wouldn't be able to commit myself to the bettering the atrocities that I know are there. Keeping it real, right? Keeping it
Yeah.
super real. I know how crazy this world is.
Yeah.
I know how crazy, again, everything from veganism to politics and how they intersect.
Yeah.
This world is on fire, but we have the hoses, we have the buckets of water.
Yeah,
We
that's
just gotta,
beautiful.
Yeah.
we gotta get together and just
Yeah.
drop them.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
I love your energy, man.
I
I love,
feel-
yeah, this
I feel your
conversation's
passion
amazing.
and
Yeah.
everything
Thank
that you
you,
do,
bro.
man. It's
Thank you,
beautiful,
Toby.
man.
Sorry,
Thank
Toby.
you.
But if people want to hear all your music, they can Google all that
Yeah.
and hear the songs. And you have a top 5 MCs?
Woo! That's I knew, you know what's crazy? I knew you were gonna ask me that. It's Pac for show. Currently Kendrick, he's
Okay, the record, I haven't stopped listening to the record since it came out at least a couple times a week. It's an art piece. The things he's talking about,
yes,
abuse,
Yeah.
divorce.
The vulnerability in that album.
Yes.
His auntie.
insane.
yes, yeah,
And
dude,
I just hope it didn't go over this generation's head of how deep and
Yes.
poetic it is.
dude.
Do you know what I'm saying?
That's track that makes
That's why when we saw him live, I was like,
Yeah,
this
y'all
makes
saw
it-
him?
We always
yeah,
saw
we
him
went-
live at this tour. It's
at
incredible.
Crypto.
No, we saw him at Honda Center.
Honda Center.
You went too?
I went to Crypto.
We all went together. It was magic.
That
it was
performance.
Oh, come on, man. Come on. He is the truth. He is everything, every single thing that I want, not from rap, not from punk rock, not from classical, not from fucking polka.
Yeah.
He's what I want from music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He
man.
is an artist.
Artist.
Artist. And it's amazing. So Kendrick all day.
Yeah, somebody told me that what's that one that concert that happens all around the country? Me and Max went to it.
Which one?
The hip hop festival that's everywhere.
Rolling Loud?
Yeah.
Rolling Loud.
I read something or saw something that everybody was going totally insane for Kendrick. I mean, going insane for everybody else, and then there was almost like a communal message that got
Wow.
spread throughout the crowd saying that we shouldn't go crazy for Kendrick. We should just listen.
Wow.
And that gave me goosebumps. More kids listened and watched, and they went really crazy with him. They took it all in because
That's
I
amazing.
don't know. He's like a teacher. And
Yeah.
I just
Yes.
hope the generation, like my sons and everybody who loves Kendrick, all their other records,
Yep.
that this one was so deep and heavy, it didn't go over their heads. 'Cause
Totally.
there was a lot of gems on there, man. It's a
Totally.
beautiful masterpiece, man.
Absolutely.
He's got a bunch of Grammy nods and stuff,
Hell yeah.
as well as Turnstile, three Grammy nods.
Yeah, I saw
3
that.
Grammys.
Shouts
I
out to
know.
him for real.
Shouts out.
So we got Tupac and Kendrick. What else?
Tupac, Kendrick, Lewis Logic. He just kind of
Okay.
really
Yeah.
Not Logic, but Lewis Logic.
yeah, not Logic.
Okay.
He got bars on Logic.
He
Got
does
bars.
the
I can't
bars.
even front on Logic for
Yeah.
real. And
That's
then
3.
you look, my ex actually, her name is Syra. She's from New York. She was one of the dopest MC artists I'd ever seen. Actually, that's what I was a fan of hers
Okay.
before. So I got to shouts out to her real quick. She's super dope and a woman in the game. And then
Got one more.
one.
No East Coast, huh?
Well, that's no. There's got to be someone from the East Coast.
You didn't fuck with Wu-Tang or Guru or
Inspector Deck.
Ooh.
Inspector
Damn,
Deck.
That's a
left
good
field.
one.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
a good
yeah,
one.
Yeah,
Wow.
for sure.
That's
yeah.
a really good one.
Yeah. Enter the Woo, like that, like him on that was like
I
36
connect with
chambers,
that.
36 chambers.
Love it.
Wow.
And I think he slept on.
He is.
You know what I'm saying? Like he's crazy with it. He's nice with
crazy.
and
Yep.
so he gets slept on. So I'm gonna shout him
Flow,
out.
his flow is fucking
That's
amazing.
what I'm saying. That's
And
what I'm
it's like-
saying.
his flow is almost like a drum beat.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I feel like it's like weird. I don't know how to explain it. Like
that's percussive.
yeah, it's
percussive.
percussive. It's percussive.
Absolutely.
Yes.
It's like Freddie Mercury saying percussive.
Yeah.
Michael Jackson percussive.
percussive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. I love that, dude.
Yeah.
Yes, Deck for sure.
And so those are your 5?
Yeah, I'd say so.
And then last question, do you have any major regrets in your life?
Man. Nah. Like low key, nah.
I could tell.
Said,
Nah, I really
So-
don't. I sincerely, as corny as this sounds, like I truly believe that every single decision I made has to be I have to believe it's part of my journey, and I just have to learn from it.
Yeah.
Like otherwise, I'm just gonna be depressed, and I'm just gonna be upset, and that's not conducive of any type of spiritual success or emotional and mental success. So no.
And
no
then what was
regrets.
like the last? That's how Max feels.
Yeah.
And then what about was your last real job that you had like a boss?
I guess that cookie company.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, the selling cookies, low
That was
key.
like 2016.
And I hadn't had a job from that point. I hadn't had a job for years.
So
So
you
I
was
went
living on music. Yeah.
low key. And listen, I'm
Then you
talking.
become a dad. When I
Yeah.
became a dad, I started doing gear with Golden Voice,
See?
and I was loading gear for all these bands who might have opened it. Like, why are you doing this? I'm like, yo, I just had a kid.
See?
And I was loading gear, and it was
It's a different type of humble,
yeah,
right? It's a different
bro.
type of humble.
And people tried to take pictures with me while I was loading their van.
Yo,
and
same.
setting up the stage and shit.
Dude, that's what I'm saying.
It was a crazy time for
Yo.
my life, but I never wanted more after doing that for a year to get back and make a new record
Yup,
and go
yup.
back on tour.
Facts,
though.
facts.
And it inspired me to make Nothing to Prove after that.
Facts.
Because I
Oh,
was,
that's
wow.
what. Oh,
yeah, 'cause I was on
Wow.
hiatus.
That's crazy.
Yeah, bro. And I was doing that, like sweating. I was hiring Ezak and Danny Boy. I had all these people working for me, loading gear and shit.
I did not know that.
Shout
That's
out-
crazy.
Shout out Isaac.
But I was working. No disrespect to the people I work with, but there was some. I was working with a bunch of people that I really wouldn't hang out in real life, and that's sort of hire my
Right.
boys to come in. You know what I'm saying? Like
right.
a couple dudes with suspect tattoos, weird
Yeah,
shit like that.
yeah.
I went and worked Coachella for 2 weeks, and I built the stages. I stayed out there with some random
Stop.
people. I got paid really well, but I built the stages all day long in the sun.
And
I was-
Coldplay was playing.
Coldplay was playing. I was too tired to watch my favorite band because I was like I was like a
Wow.
worker that time.
Yeah.
But I did that for my son because I was like, shit, I got to really go out there and
That's
do this.
it. Look, I'm gonna tell people this right now. If you take nothing else from this, take this right here. When I had my son, and anybody who's about to be a dad or wants to be, when I had my son, people be like, "Oh man, like it can seem burdensome, or it can be like it makes things hard, or oh like the ball, there's another responsibility." I became the best worker, the best friend, the best artist I could ever have been because I was laser focused, because it was about someone else other than myself.
Facts.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Facts.
I had to be true to myself, to represent myself as a real person to my son so that he saw what it means to live in passion. I had to be, concise and leave the bullshit behind so that I wasn't mentally burdened, so I could get there and make sure that I could wake up, because my wife had to carry the kid. So I'm doing the feedings at night, when she was done breastfeeding, like I'm out,
Same.
I'm waking up, I'm doing the morning shift. You got to be mentally fit. You got to be prepared. So I laser focused my whole existence thanks to my son. My son did not do anything to me, not one negative element. Not one.
Same.
Throwing up on me, shitting on me, yelling at me, keeping me up.
Yeah.
None.
Pissing on you.
Pissing on me. All of that. It means nothing. It means nothing when you look into their eyes, which I'm sure, you look into the eyes.
Now we're
and
getting super emo.
you know what I'm
dad.
saying,
Yeah.
though? And you go, you're the change. All that shit I was singing about, all that shit I was talking about, you are it.
Yeah.
You're every little thing that I believed I could be that maybe got knocked out of me or institutionalized out of me or shaken from me or taken from me.
It's like you're
You're it.
reborn too, in a sense,
Dude.
and you're re-energized, and you have
That's-
these new visions how you see the
That's
world
it.
and how you want to go
That's
even
it.
harder.
Shouts out Max though, for real, dude. I
Yes.
see it, bro. I see it. Like I low key would like be on y'all's Instagrams and shit and be like, I want to do that. I want to
Thank
do
you,
that.
man.
No, I'm for real. Like low key.
Yeah, you
Like
changed my life, Max. Even though you're paying the ass a lot, like me and Mama having you, you know what I mean? Like someday you probably look back on your life traveling, all the shit you've done at a young age, all your experiences, all the people you met, all the different like journeys you had with me. Like having a kid changed everything for me,
Yeah,
man.
dude.
It made me like see the world in such different eyes. It made me more emotional. It made me
Yup.
really want to watch violent things, all kinds of
Yes.
things. So as much as you're laughing right now, it's violent, I'm just saying,
It's
like,
real.
It's fucking life
It's
changing.
real. No, it's
We-
real.
So, this was 3 hours, which was fucking epic. But we're gonna do a part 2 just about music. But this was
Let's
fucking
go.
incredible. And like,
Yeah.
This is great.
I'm so happy to meet you and now become more of a friend with you.
Yeah, both
Yeah,
ways.
Now we're
this
gonna
is
all have a
beautiful.
friendship
Yeah.
together, moving off.
I love
off
it.
the internet and this shit. And
I love it.
it's beautiful, man. Hearing your story, man. You're mad
Yeah,
inspiring.
thanks for
dude.
delivering it all.
Yeah,
Both
thanks,
ways.
dude.
Both ways.
Yeah.
And no, I mean
So-
it. I told you this on Instagram years ago. It's like it's sliding in your DMs and shit. Low key, he's like, who's this?
No.
I low key really believe that not just hardcore, not just none of like just in this game, this industry, and in this world, the way that it's set up, having people that want to engage the way that you do and show the world that being a real person, being a real dad, is also part and parcel with being a real artist, with being a career musician, is just so important, dude. So I just want to say thank you for doing that, and truly, without even knowing it, inspiring me, like for real.
Thank
like,
you,
and this
man.
is, dude. Like, come on. H2O, like obviously, dude. Like, let's not like glaze over it. Like, obviously, like,
Thank
come
you.
on, bro. What? So, I mean, dude, I used to just tell you this. I used to say like H2O go before doing skate tricks, just because I thought it was like a vibe.
Wow.
Like, come on, bro.
Dude,
Like,
thank
come
you,
on.
man.
That's pretty hard.
So anyway, just like thank you, bro. Like thank you for real for what you do for all of us, whether you know it or not. Your energy is on. Thank you.
Thank you, man.
Yeah.
This is my favorite episode, man. I know I say it all the time, man, but did almost 200 episodes.
You're gonna make him cry, man.
I know it's gonna be. I'm an emotional person, but yeah, dude, mad
Yeah,
love
man.
to you, man.
Hell
This,
yeah.
anything you want
Mad
to say,
love.
Chappelle?
No, this is great.
It's fucking
Hell yeah.
incredible,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, I love it.
Mad love.
Fuck. And they can find you on the internet. I see you. I
Yeah.
see you're really on there. You check DMs. Are you like?
Yeah, I'm really on right now.
Okay.
I'm like really like switching it up so I can be there for people. So yeah,
Is there like a website for you or just your Instagram? That's it.
just my Instagram. But I am about to pull up and do some like type shit like this. I'm trying to expand it a little bit. Yeah.
Good
So
deal.
fucking
yeah.
A, man. Wow.
Thank you.
Mind blown. I feel fucking. Thank you for being here, bro.
Thank you,
That
brother.
was amazing.
Bye, everybody. I always ask my guests if they have any regrets. I personally don't have any regrets. Even when it comes to my tattoos, I have the silliest tattoos. Even my ET on my leg, it's still a childhood memory for me, and I love it. I've had tattoos on top of tattoos strictly because I wanted more tattoos. I started getting tattoos when I was 18. I'm 52 now, and I can't stop. I've had laser treatment before on something on my arm. It's 4 tattoos on top of each other. And that experience at that place was pretty fast. It was pretty cold. It was in and out, swiped the credit card. Don't really tell me much. Didn't give me much details of anything was going to happen. So I never went back. So as of most recently, I'm so lucky enough to have had 2 sessions at Removery Tattoo Removal. My tattoo on my arm that looks like a big black blob is now super light. I've had 2 sessions. I have a long road ahead of me. None of this stuff happens overnight. You cannot take a tattoo up in one sitting. You have to be patient. And it's painful. They ice you up. It's super fast. To me, it felt like a bunch of rubber bands. But what's more painful than that is looking at something on your body that you think you're stuck with for the rest of your life. That sucks. But now for me, I'm really happy I started this journey. I'm slowly going to get this tattoo removed. I never thought in a million years I have any kind of real estate on my arm. I don't even know what I want, but it's exciting. I'm so honored to announce that One Life One Chance podcast is now with Removery. I have a code. Use TobyH20 and get $100 off your first session. Call 866-934-4570 or go to Removery.com. One of the most experienced tattoo removal companies in the world. Over 600,000 removal treatments done. 100 locations, US, Canada, and Australia. State-of-the-art peak-away laser technology, cryotechnology to reduce any discomfort. This is so exciting for me because all I do in these podcasts is talk about tattoos. From day one, if you've been listening to this podcast, talk about tattoos, talk about getting removed, talk about getting covered up. So this is such a perfect fit for me. Once again, go to Removery.com or call 866-934-4570. Use my code TobyH20 and get $100 off. These guys are located everywhere. Try it out. Yo, people always ask me what kind of frames I'm rocking. I've been rocking Caddis for a couple years. They make amazing progressive readers, which I wear. Also, they make sunglass readers, anti-glare, anti-smudge coating, anti-scratch, and anti-aging. That's why I look mad young when I wear them. I'm just kidding. But they make amazing frames. Caddis, so stoked to have you guys part of the podcast. You can go to caddislife.com/Toby10 and get $10 off your first purchase. Stoked. Thank you, Caddis. Welcome to the fam. Yo, Liquid Death, thank you so much for hydrating all my guests, taking care of me and my family and my friends. Love your water, love your brand, love what you stand for, love what you give back to the community. If you want to learn more about Liquid Death and how it started, listen to episode 115 with the co-founder, owner, and creator of Liquid Death, Mike Cesario. Just a punk rock skateboarding kid from Delaware with a dream. It's an incredible story, incredible journey. They have now blessed me with my own code. So if you go liquiddeath.com/Toby, you get free shipping on any items you order from liquiddeath.com. Thank you so much, Liquid Death. Death to plastic, murder your thirst. Stay hydrated. You know H2O saves lives.